जून में हो रहा है, somewhere it was in September, somewhere it was in October, right? रिजर्व कैटेगरी किसी स्टेट में रिजर्व कैटेगरी की पोस्ट क्रिएटेड है, किसी स्टेट में इट वाज नॉट देयर. Professional management, that means a regulating authority for the cooperative is registrar. So registrar should regulate and monitor the activities of the cooperative society जिसका audit हो रहा है. So how to regulate, so that online regulation or professional management has to happen. Elections, somewhere the election, as I said, 5 years terms, 2 years terms, 3 years term. The elections were happening, somewhere it was through the registrar, in some of the state it was internally by the society. So though it is a state subject, but the rules and the procedures and the laws followed were not universal, or it was different in all the states. Okay, so just to make the pan-India standardization, there was a thought process going on, and accordingly, the constitution got amended to make it at par. Like all the states now are at par, and because of this constitution. So, what is the constitution? Part 9B is inserted in the constitution relating to cooperatives, like various provisions which talks about this election. That election has to happen through the state cooperative election authority. It is a constitutional mandate, and that is why in Maharashtra we say that the election has to happen through the state cooperative election authority. The professional management, so, and that is why the online returns are mandatory as far as the constitutional amendment is concerned. The reserve category of the post, so there should be 2 women on the board or the managing committee. There should be a post for the SC, ST, OBC, and VJNT. So these are the constitutional mandates. AGM now, AGMs are happening across India. All the states are having AGM date as 30th September. Like in Maharashtra, it was up to 14th August. We used to take the AGM. So now across state, that means in each and every state now the AGM date is 30th September. So this pan-India standardization was there in the mind of the legislative. That was the legislative intent to amend this constitution. And accordingly in 2012, the constitution got amended. Part 9B was inserted. Now there is a state cooperative, a state directive principle. So Article 43B is also inserted, which states that it is like each state, it talks about the state policy. So each state should promote the cooperatives, formation of the cooperatives. Now Article 19(1)(c) of the Constitution talks about the cooperatives and the formation of the society. It says now it is a fundamental right. So as per Article 19(1)(c), it is a fundamental right to form the cooperatives, right? And it is a directive principle for the state that they should endure and promote the cooperatives. So formation should be more and more society should be allowed, or more and more members should be allowed, or should be promoted to come together to form the cooperatives, right? So these are the mandates of the constitutional amendment. And after this constitutional amendment, since there was amendment in the constitution, all these states were asked, or they were mandated to make the changes in their local act so that it will be at par with the constitutional amendment. And accordingly, the first amendment that happened after the constitutional amendment was in 2013 to the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act. So the amendment was, it happened in August 2013 with effect from 14 February 2013. That was the amendment. And then we have a recent amendment to the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, that is last year, that is 23rd July 2019. But this amendment is only restricted to the housing, cooperative housing, because a separate housing chapter is being constituted, which we are going to deal in our second session, right? So that is why I said, when I have to talk about the legal framework within which cooperative has to function, so my legal framework will start actually with the constitutional amendment. So constitution comes first, then second is my Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act 1960, then the rules, because everybody knows when there is an act talks about the technical provisions. So as a layman, if I have to read, maybe I won't be able to digest, I won't be able to understand the provisions, right? And act, normally the technical provision says this is what needs to be done, but how it is to be done, like let's say this is how the election should be done, this is how the member needs to be admitted, but how, which form, within how many days, where to submit, what is the fees, all these things, like procedural part comes in rules, right? Accordingly, we have Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Rule 1961. Now in case of cooperatives, we also have something called as bylaws. Now what is bylaw? bylaw is basically, it is the way we have in companies memorandum and articles of association. So same way this articles of association and memo, it is a combination of memorandum and articles of association as far as the cooperative society is concerned. We call it as model bylaw. Now why we call it as a model bylaw? Model is like it's a standard. In Maharashtra, cooperative department, they set up one commission, and that commission they work or they sit on this preparation of the model bylaw, I mean bylaw, and then they it's a standard. I mean it is applicable to all the societies. So whoever wants to adopt that bylaw, they will adopt it as it is. That is why it is called as the model bylaw. But if you want to change some of the provisions, yes, the societies are very much they can do that amendment. That provisions are there in the act itself, that the bylaw provisions can be amended. The only thing is that it should not be ultra vires. As we know, ultra vires means it should be within the provisions of the act, and it should be within the provisions of the constitution also. Right. So this bylaw, it is basically the internal rules and regulation which are governed between the member and the society. So this is the model bylaw, and the society which says, or which suppose if the model bylaws are not there, not prescribed by the department, because as of now 35 types of model bylaws are available on Sahakar Ayukta site, which is another website. This is the commissioner office, commissioner of cooperatives, right? So commissioner office website is Sahakar Ayukta, whereas Mahasahakar is the department, cooperative department's website, right? So almost 35 types of bylaws, various societies bylaws, model bylaws are uploaded by the department on the Sahakar Ayukta site. So those who are interested, you can just visit the Sahakar Ayukta website and you can find that. So if any particular bylaw is not prescribed, there is no model bylaw, or any society, if they want to have their own bylaw, that is autonomous bylaw, they can go for it, right? So that is why the word is model bylaw. So in case of a housing society, we say model bylaws. This is the model bylaw, right? This green copy, model bylaws 2014. So department, as I said, 2013 was the amendment that happened to the constitution. August 2014, the rules got notified, and October 2031st, 8th October 2014, this model bylaw, it got uploaded on the website of the cooperative department and the Sahakar Ayukta. So you can download the soft copy also from these websites, and this bylaw copies you can take it from the federation, because each and every housing society is affiliated to the district federation. So you can approach the district federation office and you can collect this bylaw copy if you want to have, or the soft copy is also available. So they said this bylaw, it is a governing factor because it gives you various clauses, and it is normal day-to-day functioning. The rules are prescribed in this bylaw. So as an auditor, I should know what are the provisions of the act. I should know what are the rules prescribed for that particular provisions. I should know what are the bylaw provisions if I have to audit any of the cooperative societies. And then in the legal framework, it also makes sense to know the basic and important notifications, circulars, GRs, that is government resolutions, the directives issued by the department from time to time. For example, since everybody is staying in the housing society, we know that, okay, if you are letting out your flat to some tenant, to someone, then the society charges you NOC, non-occupancy charges. Now, if you see the bylaw says what is the bylaw 65 to 65 talks about what is the service charges society can collect from you, from the members. It gives various list of the charges, right? So non-occupancy charges, it says as prescribed or as notified. So there is a separate notification of 2001. So as per that notification, the housing society is supposed to collect the NOC. So when we do the audit, we observe that the society, there is no awareness, because as I said, this sector is, there a lot of gray area is there. Even the members are not aware. The committee members, though they are at the helm of the affairs, they are not taking the training, they are not getting themselves trained, though the education and training is one of the, again, constitutional mandate. It is a principle of cooperation also. That is why section 24A is also inserted in the act, post constitutional amendment. So 2013 amendment introduced section 424A also, which talks about education and training to the members and the committee members and the employees, right? And every society is collecting rupees 10 for the housing. It is 10 rupees are collected from the members. as a fund, and the that fund needs to be utilized by the society to take the training from the notified institute. The training, even I impart the training. We have got tie-up with Sahkar Bharti. So this is a gray area for the members, right? And we find when we audit the societies, they charge any lump sum amount as a NOC. They charge 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, whereas the notification specifically says it restricts the amount of NOC. It says that the NOC, non-occupancy charges, cannot exceed 10% of the service charges, and those service charges after deducting the property tax. So if in your bill, if you find that the maintenance charges are, let's say, 2000 rupees, and 500 is, let's say, a property tax component, so you will have to reduce that. That means 1500. And on that 10%, that means a person should be charged only 150 as the non-occupancy charges should be reflected in his bill. Whereas we find in the audit and the explanation given by the managing committee also that, okay, we have the general body approval, हम लोगों ने ये एजीएम में पास करके लिया था, हमारे पास रेजोल्यूशन है. See, you cannot pass, though under section 72 general body is a supreme authority, but you are not supreme over the act, you are not supreme over the constitutional provisions, right? So if the provisions in the act you are not above the directives also. So if your directive specifically says that it should be capped at 10%, it should be capped at 10%. And as an auditor, I need to qualify my report, right? And that is why it makes sense to know the notifications, at least some important notifications. Transfer premium, it is capped by the notification. So I should know, right? 79A direction. So if you are auditing some society and the society is thinking of redevelopment, or suppose it is already in the process of redevelopment, so there is a 79A direction. Okay, it is issued by the cooperative department under section 79A. We call it a 79A direction because it is issued under section 79A of the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, right? So earlier it was 2009 circular, 3rd May 2009 circular, now replaced with September 2019 circular of the redevelopment. So as an auditor, I should know, because I should be full of knowledge. Then only there would be quality in your audit. Because today's session, why the MCTC has thought of keeping this session is because we want that a quality audit should happen, right? So for that quality, I should know the basic provision. As an auditor, I should be knowing the provisions. Then only I will be able to give the justice to that assignment. And that is why I thought, let me give you a little bit of background about the cooperative sector and about the legal framework. Okay, now we'll move to the next slide. These are the websites for your reference. As I said, www.maharashtra.gov.in. This is the Maharashtra government website where you'll find all the other departments also. Mahasahkar.maharashtra.gov.in. This is the cooperative department of Maharashtra. Okay, Vastrodhyog and Pannan and cooperative. So this is cooperative department's website. And Sahkar Ayukta. Ayukta is commissioner. Okay, cooperative commissioner. So www.sahkarayukta.maharashtra.gov.in. This is the website of the commissioner office. So here you will find all the circulars, notification, GRs, everything is getting uploaded on Sahkar Ayukta website, whereas the audit login and the society login is created on Mahasahkar website, and it is each and every housing society or each and every cooperative societies mandatorily they have to enroll themselves on the Mahasahkar website. So the society which you are auditing, or the society which you are going to accept as a statutory auditor, you should ensure that that society has their login on the Mahasahkar portal. Because under section, as I said, professional management, there are certain mandatory returns which are being prescribed under the Act. The way in case of companies, you have annual returns, right? Same way here also in cooperatives, you have a concept called annual return. So section 79 1A and 1B talks about that. So we'll deal it separately, but just to give you a little bit of background, 79 1A talks about the annual report of activities. So there are 6 to 8 returns that needs to be uploaded from the society login. And 79 1B is return of auditor. That means each and every society, whenever they're approving the auditor in AGM, they have to minutize the name of the firm, or the auditor in the AGM minutes, and then after the consent is received from the auditor, the society has to upload a return of the auditor under section 79(1)(b) from the society's login with the resolution that is being passed, and the consent of the auditor also needs to be uploaded. This will happen on the Mahasarkar portal. Right now, so this is under section 79(1)(b). Please note this: all the chartered accountants or the auditors, whoever are present today, please note that the society, after your appointment in general meetings, annual general meeting, they are supposed to upload this auditor's return by 30th of September. Right, that is the date of AGM. Now the extended date of AGM is 31st March 2021 as per the ordinance dated 20th October 2020. This AGM and accounts date is extended. Okay, so on Mahasarkar portal, society will upload your data. Same way, through audit login, you will also have to generate the audit order. Generate the audit order in the sense, once you give your consent for having accepted this audit for a particular society, you will log into your you will log into this Mahasarkar portal. You will put your user ID and password. You will log in there, and then you will upload your appointment. That means you will also upload the resolution copy and your consent copy from your login. So there is a matching, there is a mapping that will happen at the department level, right? So society is also uploading and auditor also uploading, and then you will generate the audit order and you will keep it in your file, that particular society's file, that okay, you have generated. Suppose if you forget to generate the order, or if that particular society who has appointed you in AGM as a statutory auditor, if they are not having the enrollment on the Mahasarkar portal, and if they have not uploaded your appointment as a return of auditor, then in that case, under section 81, which is a section for the audit, 81 has got a proviso that is provided further. It says that if this return of auditor is not uploaded by the society, then the right to appoint the auditor goes to the registrar, that is district deputy registrar, and that is how the DDR will be appointing the auditor, or allotting the audit, that particular society's audit, to some other panel auditor. That means here the scene will be, the AGM has appointed, let's say, Shilpa Shinagare. Now the society was supposed to upload the return through their login. They have not done it. Even Shilpa Shinagare did not upload the return and did not generate the order. Now the DDR office, that is each district, there is a registrar. So district deputy registrar, from their login, they can find that, okay, society XYZ society, nobody, no appointment has happened, it seems, in AGM, because nothing is appearing against that society who is the auditor. And then the DDR from the panel, he may appoint or he may allot that audit to maybe Mr. Prajapati or maybe Mr. Rajan Vora. So the general body has given a mandate that Shilpa Shingari should be doing the audit, whereas just because there was non-compliance on the part of the society and on the part of the auditor himself or herself, the society, the audit is gone to some other person, and then you will, the other consequences will come into picture, right? And that is why it makes sense to know the section 79(1)(a) and 1(b), and you should generate the audit, and society also should have the enrollment. And if the society is not having enrollment, or they have not enrolled themselves on the portal, I would request all the statutory auditors to kindly facilitate this work for the housing societies, and you can charge for that, because there are two sections in the MCS Act. Section 146, it talks about the offenses which a committee or which a society can make, and there is section 147 which talks about the penalties for those offenses. So if this 179(1)(b) returns are not uploaded, that is very much an offense as far as the managing committee is concerned. The committee can be disqualified. So the provisions are so strict or stringent that this can be one of the reasons for dismissal of the committee also, and there is a penalty of 5,000 rupees also prescribed. So since there is a penalty of 5,000 rupees, we can facilitate the work for the societies on chargeable basis. So this makes, I mean, this point is clear. So 79(1)(a) and 1(b) is also equally important. Now the next provision, acts, there are almost more than 170 sections are there. So we are not going to deal with that. I have just mapped few of these sections. I have just put some of the sections which are very, very important as far as the audit is concerned. Now, Section 75, it deals with the annual general meeting because Maharashtra Cooperative Society Act, or for that matter, the constitutional mandate is the auditor would be appointed. Auditor here means the statutory auditor, right? So the statutory auditor would be appointed in the annual general meeting for the current year. The word used is current year. That this also is very, very important. Current year. That means normally अभी जो 1920 फाइनेंशियल ईयर खत्म हुआ है उसका ऑडिट लेट से उसका एजीएम अभी होने वाला था सितंबर 2020 में होगा राइट so current year that means the auditor for this the AGM which is going to happen now it will appoint the auditor for the current year that means for the year 2021 that is the meaning right so 75 talks about the AGM it says every society shall get its accounts audited that means who is the whose responsibility is to get the accounts audited it is the responsibility of the society to get it accounts audited at least once in a every year and for that matter who is the person who can do the audit it is not that all the chartered accountants can do the audit or anyone any company secretary or any cost accountant or any other person or any departmental auditor can do it is the panel auditor the word used is the audit would be done by a person who is there on the panel which is maintained by the cooperative department that means if you have to do the statutory audit the person the professional has to ensure that he is there on the panel now, what is the panel constitutes now? As of now, we are having a panel of the department. The panel, it comes twice. I mean, after 2 years, the panel notification comes or the exercise happens once in 2 years. Earlier, it was 3 years. After our representation from the CA Institute, we got the amendment and now the exercise will happen after every 2 years, right? So the panel, it came somewhere in 2017, October 2017, and it was valid till 31st March 2020. So the present panel, where you will find this panel, you can find all the auditors. There are almost 12,000 auditors are there on the panel, and this list of the auditor you will find on the Mahasarkar website. On the home page itself, you will find Lekha Parikshak Namatalika, that is list of the panel auditors, right? So these 12,000 auditors names, their category, their number, panel number, everything is mentioned. And the society, if they're confused whether that person is a panel auditor or not, because someone may approach the society saying that I'm on the panel, but if that person is not on the panel, then the committee will be in soup, right? So the society can verify the details from the Mahasarkar portal. Now we have four types of panel auditors. One is the chartered accountant, practicing chartered accountants. The other one is the cost accountants are also included in the last panel. We also have GDCS, that is the diploma holders, the persons, they do 1 year diploma course with the cooperative department. They are there on the panel. And the departmental official, that means the staff of the cooperative department, they are also there on the panel. So these four types of panel auditors are there. And the statutory audit needs to be conducted by the panel auditor only. Whereas, as far as the internal audit is concerned, you need not be there on the panel. So, as a chartered accountant, you can very much take the assignment of the internal audit because there is no requirement to be there on the panel. So, this section 75 talks about the appointment of the auditor. It also 75(2) also talks about the agenda of the annual general meeting, because when you are auditing, as I said, once you know the legal framework, once you know the provisions, then your audit checklist will flow, right? So if you are auditing a society, let's say for financial year 1920, you are auditing a society. So you will see last year's minutes, right? Because you have to see the HM minutes book, you have to see the general meeting minutes books, you have to see the management committee minutes books, because that is the thing I would advise each and every professional who is there on the panel, that don't take any chance or any call and without verifying the minutes book, don't sign any audit report. That is not good for you. That way you will land up in trouble, right? Because all the agendas, all the issues, all the initiatives, all the activities of the committee are discussed in the managing committee meetings. It is discussed, all the approvals are discussed in the general meetings. If there are any subcommittees, because your act section 81 specifically says if the subcommittees are there, like in housing societies, we find that there is a subcommittee for the painting work, there is a subcommittee for conveyance work, there is a cultural committee. Most of the housing societies, they go for the cultural committee as a separate committee, right? So a subcommittee is very much part of the main committee, and subcommittees are also supposed to maintain their minute book. So as an auditor, you should know this provision, and you should ask the society to give you the managing committee minute book. They should give you the annual general minute book. They should give you the special general body minute book. They should give you the subcommittee minute book. And if these are not there, you have to specifically mention it in your part A, because there is a format of the audit report, and this is a major violation, right? So going through the minute books makes sense. Now 75 too. So let's say they have given you the AGM minute book, and if you are going through the AGM minute just to see what was discussed in the last AGM, and if you see the agenda, and if you find that the agenda is just randomly picked up by the managing committee, then you can point out that also in your audit report, because section 75 too is very crystal, because section 75(2) is very crystal clear. It says that the agenda is prescribed under 75(2), and it says what are the points or what are the agenda points that should be there in your AGM notice that is being sent to all the members. So if you find that the agenda was also not as per prescription, because why I'm emphasizing on this agenda, because you may find madam क्या audit के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, इसके बारे में, this is the point, this is one of the I mean important point, because my agenda says that there should be rectification report discussed of the previous rectification report which is discussed of the earlier year. This is important agenda as far as the cooperative AGM is concerned. The other agenda, it says there should be annual budget of the next year needs to be discussed and approved in the AGM. So if these two agendas out of the list of the agenda is missing, you as a statutory auditor, you need to point out to the society, because our job is not only to audit and give the classification and take our fees. While doing the audit, you also should ensure that you will create some awareness, you will give some value addition, you will make the society aware that these are the things which they are missing and they should take note of. The internal controls or the control mechanism also we have to set right through our audit report. That should be the mission of each and every statutory auditor. Just taking the fees will not help you, and neither it will help you nor it will help the housing society. See, because the fees are prescribed by the department. There is a GR of 29th October 2014 which talks about the remuneration to be paid to the auditor. And this remuneration, this is applicable to all four types of auditors, whether it is a chartered accountant, whether it is a JDCA, whether it is a CMA, or whether it is a departmental auditor. The fees are same. So why a person should come to CA Shilpa Shinagare, or why a person should go to CA Pratik Satyuga? Why? If they feel that CA Shilpa Shinagare is going to give value addition, or she's creating lot of awareness, she's creating a lot of awareness and giving me good points after the audit, definitely they will come to see Shilpa Shinagare and not to Pratik, or it can be vice versa. They will prefer Pratik over see Shilpa Shinagare, right? So this is what is expected from the auditor, and that is why the agenda is very, very important. Again, rectification of the audit report of earlier year, because we have section 82 which we are discussing subsequently, but right now also itself I'll discuss that. So section 82 of the MCS Act, it says rectification of the audit report. That means once the auditor submits the audit report, within 3 months from the date of the audit report, the managing committee, they have to rectify and they have to comply with the irregularities which are pointed out by the statutory auditor. And that rectification report in form O, there is a form prescribed by the department. So that form O needs to be submitted to the registrar, one copy, and one copy needs to be submitted to the auditor, concerned auditor. And then the concerned auditor, through his or her login on the website, you will have to give the remarks whether actually the compliance has happened or not, right? So that is again your responsibility under section 82. So your section 75 agenda, 75(2) agenda of the annual general meeting, it says that the rectification report of the earlier year needs to be placed before the AGM. That means the general body, because the appointment of the auditor happens by the general body, because independence, right? the third person is coming to the society and auditing, so that independence is ensured. And that is why the general body has to appoint the auditor, and it is not the managing committee, right? So our audit report also goes to the members. It never goes to the chairman and secretary, right? So the AGM should also know what were the points which were pointed out, what were the violations, the breaches, the irregularities were pointed out by the auditor, and whether our committee is complying and paying attention to all those irregularities or not. And that is the spirit of this provision. That is the spirit of Section 82. That is the spirit of this particular agenda of Section 75(2) of the AGM agenda. And if the society is not keeping this rectification report before the general meeting, rectification report of previous audit before the general meeting, this also can be one of the point for the dismissal of the managing committee, because we are handling the litigation and we know at least one person from the housing society is a habitual complainant. He knows the bylaw provision, he knows the act, he knows the rules, and there are ego issues, and then they're behind the society. They want to see that the society is somehow there is a fallout and the society is dismissed or disqualified. So these people, they're just waiting for all these technical points to be there, and they just want to pick them up, and they just want to make an issue out of it, right? So that is why as an auditor, it is my job to ensure that I will give that value addition. I will if the managing committee they were never aware of this, I will make them aware, right? And that is why knowing or going through Section 75 really makes sense. Section 80, this is another important section which most of the auditors, they are not utilizing, they are not using, they are not knowing. Now Section 20, it gives the power to the registrar to seize the records. This is also a, this is a power to the registrar, but this is directly related to the right of the auditor also. Now, as I said, if you are being appointed by the general body as a statutory auditor, or let's say because the annual returns are not uploaded of the auditor's appointment, DDR is appointing or giving you some societies, and when you approach those societies as a proviso audit, and if those societies are not giving you the records, then under Section 70 there is a provision that you can write to the registrar, or if registrar has appointed someone and the society or the managing committee, if deliberately they are not giving the access to the record, because as a chartered accountant, you know, Section 81(5)(5)(b), you read 81(2), it says that you have access to the to all the records, right? That is my primary right as statutory auditor. So if they are not giving you or sharing or giving you access of the records for the audit, you have to invoke Section 80. You have to approach the registrar, and then registrar may give you authorization, he will approve, and then through the district magistrate, right, executive magistrate, that is through Tahsildar office under the protection of the police, that is sub inspector may join you, and you can take and you can seize the record. There is a power to search and seize. So this is such a wonderful power which is given to the auditor, which we are not using. So section reading and going through Section 80 also makes sense as an auditor. Now Section 81, it talks about the audit of accounts, right? So Section 81, it says that each and every society has to be audited. When the audit is to be completed, now we are coming to the actual crux, actual audit part of it. Now, what is the accounts? When the accounts are to be finalized, what is the format of the accounts? What is the due date for the audit, right? Now, Section 81 says that from within 4 months from the close of the financial year, the society has to complete the audit, right? So what is the date of completion? It is 31st July from the close of the financial year. Now, it also says that within 45 days, the society has to finalize the accounts. That means my year ends on 31st of March. So I will, within 45 days, that means by 15th of May, I will finalize my accounts. Now, 15th of May, the society are supposed to finalize the account. Next 15 days, they are supposed to adopt this draft accounts in the managing committee meeting. Now, as an auditor, this is again, there is a gap. I find that most of the housing societies, they are not doing this. They are not following this. They are not aware of this provision. The auditors are also not aware. Unless and until the managing committee have adopted the draft accounts in their managing committee meeting, we are not supposed to start the statutory audit, right? Because managing, because accounts is the responsibility of the managing committee, and that is why I would appeal to all the auditors, statutory auditors, please ensure whenever you are taking up the audit, don't be in a hurry for the sake of giving comfort to the managing committee, because it is not the managing committee, it is the general body who has appointed you, right? So this is the provision. So there should be a managing committee agenda. So in managing committee minute books, you should find that they have discussed, they have adopted these draft accounts within this 15 days. And then ideally on 1st of June, the accounts, the adopted, the draft accounts along with the records needs to be submitted to the auditor for the audit. And then 31st July is the cutoff date to complete the audit. This cutoff date, I'm reiterating, please listen to me carefully. 31st July. Now, this 31st July, because of this corona or because of this COVID pandemic, this 31st July date is being extended to 31st of December by way of an ordinance dated 28th of October. This date of completion of audit is a date for the society, not to the auditor. Why I'm saying this? Because when the act says the society shall get its accounts audited, it doesn't say the auditor will account or audit the society within 4 months, right? It is the society's responsibility. So don't backdate the report. What happens normally, as we know, all the clients, whether it is income tax client, GST client, or your audit client, they will come at the fag end when there is a deadline, right? Even if there is an extension, they will come when they want to come, when they were 3 या 4 दिन पहले आने का ही आदत होता है. That is why I'm not in favor of the extensions actually, right? So if any society, let's say the due date is 31st July, okay, and any society, if particular society, if they're giving you books and records on 25th or 28th of July for audit, that means just to give the comfort, just for the compliances, which a compliance of that particular section 75, which a society has to do, which a managing committee has to do, if you are auditing that society in a day or a two, then you are going to be in a soup, you may be in trouble. Don't. So take your own time. As I said, by 45 days, by 15th of May, the accounts are finalized. Within next 15 days, the society is adopting it in the MC. They're sending it by 1st of June. So you will get 2 months time to do the audit. So then only that quality will come, because we have to save our skin as a professional rather than taking care of the managing committee and their comforts. Don't try to accommodate them, right? Because as per section 81, why I'm saying this? Because first of all, it is their responsibility. Secondly, as per section 81, it says that the auditor, 81.5 says that when the auditor can release the report, the auditor can release the report, should release the report within 1 month from the date of completion. So I should know when I'm starting the audit, because these are the dates I need to mention in two forms. There are two forms, form 1 and form 28, which is a form which is prescribed under the Cooperative Act. Form 1 is a general form which is applicable to all types of audit. So even if you are doing a consumer society or a bank or a Pata Sanstha, this form 1 has to be given. Form 28 is for the housing society, right? So in form 1, I'm supposed to mention when I have started the audit, when I have completed the audit, and when I have submitted the audit memo or the certificate and the report to the society. So these dates may go against you. If you say, I have received the books on 28th July, I completed the audit on 31st July, I issued the report on 31st July. That means it there itself, it shows that the audit is not a qualitative audit. In 2 days, you have done the job and you have taken the fees. So that may go against you, because your audit report is separately scrutinized by the district special auditor, DSAs. And if they find subsequently any fraud or any irregularity, financial irregularity, which you have not pointed out, or the points which you did not cover, your name can be removed from the panel, right? That is a provision in Rule 69 1G, if you refer, right? And that is why you should not backdate the report. And section 81 says within 1 month from the completion, I have the liberty to release the report. and nevertheless the report has to be released. So issuance should be at least 14 days prior to the AGM notice. That means let's assume 30th September is the AGM date. So as an auditor, I can release the audit report. So AGM का notice देने का period क्या है? 14 clear days notice needs to be given to the members. And clear days are being defined. What is clear days? Clear days, if you see the definition in the bylaw, it says you have to exclude the date of the meeting, you have to exclude the date of the notice. So ideally 16 days period you minus. So 30th September से 16 दिन निकाल दो. So I can submit my report up to 12th, 13th or 14th September. I have that liberty because that provision, it is supported by the section. So then there is no fun in just going and doing the audit in 2 days or taking the fees. And I mean, it's going to be against the ethics, and you will be in problem because housing जितना लगता है उतना easy नहीं है. Though I say that this is the sector which we need to explore, but the sector is full of litigation. And litigation, when there is a litigant or there is a habitual complainant in any of the housing societies, he will not only complain against the managing committee, but he will ensure that the auditor also is being brought in a loop, and a complaint can be lodged against you, and the complaint can be before the disciplinary committee of the ICI. And that is why I feel that the auditor should not take all such calls while dealing with the audit. So section 81 talks about the audit provisions when the proviso audits are happening. If you are not uploading the 79 1B return of the auditor, if you are not generating the audit, the department has the right, the DDR has the right. It talks about your right to access the report. It talks about your right to attend the meetings also. So as an auditor, it is my right to attend the AGM annual general meeting. So those professionals who want to explore this field, who want to take more assignments, you should be upon. I mean, you should tell the housing society that kindly issue me the notice also because I want to attend your annual general meeting. So उनको शायद सरप्राइज होगा कि अरे अभी तक तो कोई ऑडिटर ने हमारा ये एजीएम अपॉइंट नहीं किया, आप तो थर्ड पर्सन है, जनरल मीटिंग इज फॉर द मेंबर्स. So 81(2) talks about your right to access to have the AGM meeting, AGM notice served on you. So you go and you attend the meeting. Only you can speak on the accounts and audit part. You cannot discuss or you cannot poke your nose in their other routine matters. That time you will keep quiet, right? But that will give you the visibility. That will give you the visibility, and that will help you as an auditor. Okay, so this also it talks about. Section 81 also talks about the special and specific report. Now, what is special and specific report? So whenever there are financial irregularities, not amounting to fraud, the Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act mandates you to give or issue special report. So you will issue the audit report, but at the same time, you will also issue the special report to the registrar saying that these are the violations, these are the breaches. So ideally, in case of a cooperative society, the report format is also prescribed. So before I deal with the special report or the specific report, let me talk about the format of the audit report. Now, the audit report format is already prescribed under the MCS Act. It says that the audit report ideally would be, it will start with the independent auditor's report. That is my audit certificate, which is derived from the SS 700 of ICI. So जैसे companies में हम लोग audit करते हैं तो अपना एक audit certificate जाता है where we finally sign. We say that all the information explanation given to me, the accounts are giving true and fair view and all that stuff, right? So that is the certificate, that is end to independent auditor's report, right? This should be there. This independent auditor's report should have an audit classification. So we will be discussing about the audit classification also. So the last para of this independent certificate says that the auditor, which classification. So A, B, C, D is the classification which the auditor has to allot or assign to that particular society after doing the audit based on certain parameters, right? So this is the independent auditor's report which each and every auditor will have to submit. Then there is part A, B, C. So my main audit report, it consists of part A, B, and C. Now this is not my format. This is the format prescribed by the department by way of the provisions in the act and by way of the notifications, right? Now part A, it says that the part A should comprise of all the violations this cooperative audit is not only a financial audit, but this is a socio-economic audit which is expected by the cooperative department. When I say socio-economic audit, that means I'm not supposed to just comment on the financial part of it, but this is a cooperative sector. This is a society where the general members, they have come together voluntarily for some common purpose. There is funds which are invested. There is a pool of the funds. The auditor is supposed to report on the functioning of the society also. So when I say the society management and functioning, there are n number of things which are being asked in part form 1 and form 28. They want you to give what was the last audit date, who audited the accounts, what was the last classification given, how many members are there, how many ordinary members are there, how many associate members are there, how many joint members are there, how many sympathizer, abhi to sympathizer member nahi hai, so how many members are there, what was the last date of election, you know, who are the committee members, who is chairman, who is secretary, okay, and n number of things. It also asks you whether the committee has adopted the draft, whether you have discussed the draft report. So ye jo hai, ye socio, I mean ye socio audit ho gaya, social. So it is not only your financials, but it talks about other things also, whether subcommittees hai to uska minutes hai kya, how many meetings being conducted for the MC, because bylaw says at least one meeting to be conducted. So ये क्या है, तो डिपार्टमेंट को सिर्फ फाइनेंशियल प्रोविजन, अंडर प्रोविजन कहाँ है, एक्सपेंस कहाँ ज्यादा हुआ, वाउचर्स कौन से आपको नहीं मिले हैं, वाउचर का अमाउंट कितना डिफरेंट है, यही सिर्फ नहीं चाहिए, इनकम टैक्स प्रोविजन किया है नहीं किया, दिस they don't want this financial, they want financials along with this kind of audit, right? So that is why they have prescribed the audit report format. So part A, it talks about the violations. As an auditor, I'm supposed to give in part A the major violations in a tabulated manner, in a tabular form. That means I will say this is the section, this is the rule, this is the bylaw, what is the content of that particular section, rule or bylaw, and if the society has violated or there is a breach, I will specifically mention this is section 75 not complied with, there is a violation, rule 69, rule 72, okay, bylaw 140, bylaw 145, whatever, bylaw 75, जो कुछ भी है आपको, जो आपके violation है, ये आपको कब मालूम पड़ेगा, how you can jot down or give this information in part A when you do the detailed audit. The checklist should be drawn from the bylaw which you are auditing, which the society is having. So you should have a bylaw copy also with you. When you are starting the audit, you should know what are the records you are supposed to check. So you can give one list to the society beforehand, before you take up the audit, or at the time of consent itself, you can give one list of requirements saying that these are the records, these are the registers, these are the minute books and the accounts and the I mean files, membership files, the contract files, the AMC file, the litigation file, everything I will need. And there should be a permanent file and regular file. So if the society you are auditing for the first time, you should have certain documents which will go in permanent file, that is society registration certificate, PAN number, TAN number, जीएसटी है तो जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट, सो ये सारे आपके वो परमानेंट फाइल में जाएंगे, बायलॉज का कॉपी यू शुड टेक ऑन रिकॉर्ड, एंड देन व्हेन यू आर डूइंग इट फॉर द नेक्स्ट ईयर और समथिंग, यू अगेन नीड नॉट हाउ टू आस्क फॉर इट, बिकॉज यू शुड नो दैट सोसाइटी रजिस्ट्रेशन से ही आपको मालूम पड़ेगा ये कौन से टाइप की सोसाइटी है, बिकॉज दैट काइंड ऑफ क्वेरीज आल्सो आई रिसीव फ्रॉम द fellow chartered accountants. They don't know what kind of audit they are doing, which kind of society they're accepting. So I need to tell them, first you see the society registration certificate, because there are different types of housing societies, whether it is a plot owner or tenant partnership, you know, so that also makes, whether it is a premises society, whether it is an industrial estate, so fees also differs. So you should know, and that is why getting these basic documents is very, very important for you as a chartered accountant. So part A will give you the gist of the violations which are being committed by that particular society, and this part A, so whatever you are commenting in part A, let's say the object for which the society is formed, if the society is not fulfilling that object, or if you see there are any other irregularities which are where there is a going to be a loss to the society, so that particular point you will capture in your part A, and this part A is very much seen, and this is what is being scrutinized by the department, and based on your observations and your comments and your qualifications in part A, the audit, the registrar can go for re-audit under section 86, right? So that re-audit will come into picture, maybe CO moto by the registrar, or if any complainant hai वो society में, so he may also ask for the re-audit if he is not satisfied with the kind of audit you have done, right? So part A should be giving the major violations, and then whatever you have mentioned in part A, once the major violations are being captured in part A, you are supposed to give special report to the registrar. Special report, that means again based on that special report they will first do the inspection, then they under 89(1), if 89A, then 89A inspection may also, if they find certain irregularities which you have not pointed out, then they may ask for 83. There would be an inquiry which will be conducted against the managing committee, and after the 83 inquiry there would be 88. Section 88 will come into picture, where the responsibilities and the amount, financial responsibility will be fixed on the delinquent managing committee members, right? So special report submission is your responsibility under section 81 when you find the financial irregularities not amounting to fraud. Just give me 1 minute. Now section 81 also talks about specific report. Now what is specific report? Specific report is when you find during your audit, if you find or you are conscious or you are checking, it tells you or gives you, or your sixth sense, it tells you that there is something, I'm sensing something, there is something fishy, I find that something fraud like situation is happening. So it's not that just because it is a housing society frauds are not happening, it is happening, it may happen, though I mean it may not be a voluminous one, but yes, there could be things which and you'll never know the way it is being done, because the structure of a housing society is there is a manager which is appointed by the society, because committee members, they are office goers, they don't have time to attend to day-to-day operations, so there is a manager who is appointed, there is an accountant to which the accounts are outsourced, there is a managing committee at the other end, and there is a auditor which is, so there are 4 people who are doing this work, particular society management, auditing, checking, doing. So इसमें थोड़ा सा issue होता है if your manager could be a point, a person who may be doing some mess in the society, and under your I mean behind your back, you won't know, so you need to be very very sure about that. And that is why if you find that something is happening, so bank reconciliation also you need to see, because we could through our internal audits we can locate frauds even through the bank reconciliation. The check numbers were missing, when you see the bank statement, when you see the, when you do the ledger scrutiny, when you see that particular series of the checkbooks were missing, so when we inquired with the of managing committee members, and then we, I mean finally it was like there was some fraud like thing which happened, it was done by the manager. So even the checkbooks, because normally the checkbooks are in the housing society office, it is kept with the society manager, so a forgery can be done by the society manager. Normally the petty cash vouchers, as an auditor I don't verify, because we अपने को लगता है कि housing है, क्या इसमें होगा, क्या होगा, but petty cash, it is such a simple thing, but that may land up you in trouble, because petty cash में normally manager क्या करते हैं, वो कमेटी मेंबर को बोलेगा, चेयरमैन सेक्रेटरी को, सर मुझे 5,000 निकालना है, मुझे 10,000 निकालना है, 20,000 निकालना है कैश. सो ये लोग क्या करते हैं, they are in a hurry, they don't have time, they are executives, right? So they will not ask for what you need this, go, because they've got confidence, they have got in good faith, they will sign on the voucher, they will sign on the check, the person will withdraw the cash, and he will that cash is never booked in the accounts, no expenses are getting booked against that cash. So as an auditor I need to check the petty cash register also, I need to see the contra entries, whenever there is withdrawal from the bank account I need to cross check it with the cash book, I need to see whether that entry is appearing there or not, and then that itself will give you a hint that yes, something is missing, something is happening, okay, some wrong things are happening in this society. There could be the possibility that a particular housing society, they're collecting some income, miscellaneous income, like there is a hall which they are giving it to the members and non-members. There is a gym or swimming pool, they are giving it, maybe the other members are using it and they're giving it on a rental basis, or maybe they're charging half hourly basis, or maybe hourly basis they're charging, and they're collecting in cash. So you need to ask all these points through your written representation, which you should take before starting the audit. There are a number of points you should cover in your written representation. So because we are doing the postmortem, we are not there. Financial year 1920, if I'm auditing, I was not part of that society. I don't know what has happened during that particular year, right? I'm going post March. So I'm doing the postmortem. So if I'm doing postmortem, I should know what has happened. So it is better to give written representation. Ask whatever you want to ask to that particular society. Ask them what was the last election date. Ask them how many members are there. Ask them how many flats are on leave and license basis. Ask them what is the policy for leave and license. Ask them what is the NOC they are charging. What is the transfer premium they are charging, whether any major contract was given, whether any litigations are pending, whether they have, I mean, building is insured or not. So all these points, this point, even the specimen signature of the managing committee you can take, because unless and until you do the vouching and the posting and the ledger scrutiny, you will not come to know what is happening, right? Because you have to certify the account. So if I have to okay a particular expenditure, I need to check, I need to do the vouching. So who has signed as a chairman, who has signed as a secretary, I should know the signature. So I take the specimen signature on record. This is what the audit checklist, this is what the back end work we have to do before we start the audit, right? So if you find that if you find through your written representation that they have said that yes, we are collecting, we are giving this service and we are collecting some nominal charges, and it is taken in cash, so you can point out that okay, from next year you can start taking it through account paying check. But during your period, if they have collected cash, just ensure that all that cash which is being collected is getting reflected in the account. It is getting reflected under that particular income head. Or if you find, for example, if you find that there is a receipt book, right? This I discussed in the our study group meeting also. If you find a receipt book and on a particular receipt you find that it is written as Xerox, because original you will give to the person who has utilized your services, the Xerox copy will remain with the society. So if on the Xerox copy you find that the cancelled is written, that means that particular receipt is cancelled. So as an auditor, you should not stop there saying that the particular 1000 or there is a reversal of 2000, or that 2000 is not collected by the society, right? And that is why it is not getting reflected in the income account. No, it should give you, your sixth sense should start working. You are an auditor, you should be vigilant, right? If the cancel, if on Xerox it is written as cancelled, then there should be original also with you, right? If the original is also with you, that means yes, that particular receipt is cancelled. If original is not there and only on that particular Xerox that particular person, that manager is writing that it is cancelled, that means he's pocketing that particular cash income, right? And this is something fraud like. That means as a managing committee, you don't have control over the affairs of the society management, right? And in such case, you will have to specifically give a report that is called a specific report, where you will have to give the modus operandi. You will have to file the FIR also. You will have to, you will file, you will submit your audit report, main audit report with the registrar, and within 15 days you will take his permission to file the FIR. You will issue the specific report, and after the approval you will also uh, 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 do the FIR, because FIR रजिस्टर करना ये महाराष्ट्र कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी एक्ट में ये ऑडिटर का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. Though as an institute we are representing, but yes, this is the part, this is the responsibility. So section 81 read करना बहुत बहुत जरूरी है, and audit को seriously लेना भी बहुत जरूरी है. Don't take it casually just because nothing is there, because even in case of investments, whenever you are certifying the investments, housing societies are having a lot of funds spread over across the banks, cooperative banks. So whenever you are certifying the figure of investment, at least cross-check the investment, FD certificates. You can keep the Xerox for your work as a working paper documentation, because as a CA institute, we have the auditing and accounting standards says documentation. I need to have my working papers also with me. कल अगर peer review होता है, कुछ भी होता है, तो आपके पास वो होना चाहिए. So you can take the ask for the Xerox copies of the FD certificates, FD receipts, and you can cross check it with the investment register. So for that, you need to verify the investment register also, right? So register also you have to go through. So don't take it casually. That may land up you in trouble. Right, so this 81 was very, very important for you to know. 82, we have discussed. 82, it talks about the rectification of audit report, which a society has to give rectification to your audit report within 3 months from the date of the audit report. They will submit the copy to the registrar through O form. They will also give you a copy, and then through your audit login you will give remarks on that rectification. That is what is mandated by section 82. Now rule 61, it talks about the annual statement of accounts. So it says that there is a statement of accounts. I mean, accounts का भी एक format prescribed है. Normally, if you are dealing with the company audit, you will find that the balance sheet, it starts with the immovable assets like fixed assets, and then it ends with the cash and bank balance, right? So it's liquid, I mean illiquid to liquid. Whereas in case of a cooperative society, the format is prescribed. That is the N format of balance sheet. We call it N format, right? So it starts with cash and bank, and last it comes as the fixed assets or furniture, whatever you are having. Because ये भी important है आपको जानना, because there was one person, there was one professional who messaged me saying that, Madam, I'm doing so many audits, and every year I'm giving a comment or I'm giving a qualification saying that society is not following the proper format. And every year I'm getting the remark saying that this is the format which is being prescribed, right? So I said, what is the format? What is your view? Why you are giving this comment? So he says, मैडम देखो ना, ये गलत कर रहे हैं. कैश ऊपर आना, सॉरी फिक्स असेट्स पहले आना चाहिए और कैश एंड बैंक बाद में आना चाहिए. लेकिन मैं देखता हूँ ये लोग उल्टा कर रहे हैं. कैश एंड बैंक पहले लिख रहे हैं और बाद में फिक्स असेट्स और वो सब लिख रहे हैं. तो इसीलिए मैं क्वालिफाई कर रहा हूँ रिपोर्ट. आई सेड, सर यू नीड टू रीड द एक्ट रूल्स, बिकॉज हम लोग बाकी सारे एक्ट रूल्स हमारे ऑफिस में रखते हैं, बट इट रियली मेक सेंस टू बाय अ बेयर एक्ट ऑफ MCS एक्ट एंड रूल्स, एंड यू नीड टू कीप अ कॉपी एंड एटलीस्ट यू गो थ्रू द main provisions which as an auditor directly impact, I mean it's impacting you, right? So I said, sir, you should read form N, you should read rule 69, you should see form N format of the balance sheet and income and expenditure of a and profit and loss account of a cooperative entity which is being mentioned there. So the society is very much correct, they're following the right format, and you are wrong. So it should not happen that being the auditor you are not knowing and your audit is knowing more than you, right? So that is what will again if there is a habitual complaint, and because we are handling litigation, that is why again and again I am cautioning you that if there is a habitual complaint, and हर सोसाइटी में एक तो कोई नट होता ही है, एक कोई मेंबर ऐसा होता है जो कमिटी के अगेंस्ट होता है और जो कंप्लेंट करता है रजिस्ट्रार में बार बार, है ना? तो ऐसे मेंबर्स के साथ भी अगर अपने को डील करना है तो अपना काम इतना अच्छा फुल प्रूफ चाहिए कि वो अपने को कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा. So that is why this rule 61 and 62 also we should know. And it also says section like this, what is to be prepared. It is not only income and expenditure and balance sheet, but receipt and payment also needs to be prepared by the cooperative society. But most of the housing societies, they are not preparing receipt and payment account. So you will have to mention it in your part A that receipt and payment account is not prepared by the housing society. And normally, see, each and every I mean, this managing committee, they have to meet at least once in each month. That is what is mandated by the bylaw. So during the monthly managing committee meeting, they're supposed to review the accounts. They're supposed to review the cash flow position. So it's like, what is the receipt and what are the payments made by the society. So that also needs to be taken on record by the MC. So if that is not also being taken by the MC on record, that also needs to be qualified by the auditor, right? So MC minute book, HM minute books, SGM minute books, as I said, all needs to be seen. Subcommittee agar hai to uske minutes books you need to see thoroughly, because there could be points, there could be resolutions, there could be agendas which are discussed which may have impact on the accounts. Let's say normally AGM होता है, AGM में गार्डनर का सैलरी बढ़ा दिया, सोसाइटी मैनेजर का सैलरी बढ़ा दिया कि फ्रॉम अक्टूबर द सैलरी वुड बी, प्रेजेंटली वी आर पेइंग 10,000, फ्रॉम अक्टूबर द सैलरी वुड बी लेट्स से 13,000, right? So when you are auditing for the next year, you will find ये agenda हुआ था, इसकी वजह से 3,000 salary बढ़ गया है. So this will have impact on your account. So you will see what is the salary ledger when you are going through. You will find that from October 13,000, yes, 13,000 is there. So when you are preparing this comparative analysis, because comparative analysis also needs to be prepared by the statutory auditor. Now, what is comparative analysis? Whatever expenses and income you are auditing, ask your article or ask your assistant to prepare a chart, prepare a comparative statement. बिकॉज नॉर्मली अकाउंट्स जो प्रेजेंट होते हैं वो प्रीवियस ईयर एंड करंट ईयर के फॉर्मेट में होते हैं, व्हाट वाज लास्ट ईयर, व्हाट वाज करंट ईयर, राइट? सो दैट जनरल मेंबर्स को ये मालूम हो कि लास्ट ईयर खर्चा कितना था, ये साल कितना हुआ है, ये क्यों बढ़ा है. So there would be questions by the general member in annual general meeting, why this expense is being inflated, why it is increased, why it is decreased, why income is less. यू नो, लास्ट ईयर एफडी इतना था, ये बार एफडी क्यों कम क्यों हो गया, लास्ट टाइम एफडी का इंटरेस्ट इतना आया था, ये बार क्यों कम हो गया, लास्ट टाइम बैंक में बैलेंस सिर्फ 5,000 था, अभी 5 लाख क्यों दिख रहा है. दैट मीन्स पॉसिबली कोई एफडी है जो ब्रेक हुआ है, जिसका पैसा उधर बैंक में ही पड़ा है, एंड सोसाइटी हैज नॉट renewed the FT. That means there is a loss to the society and to the members ultimately. So ये सारी questions before the general meeting asked to the managing committee. I would request that you only prepare a comparative analysis and you sit with the managing committee so that they will be prepared beforehand and it will be easy for them to address the general meeting, right? सो कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस करो, हर एक्सपेंस का उनको क्वेश्चन करो, जहां जहां आपको लगता है कि देयर इज अ सिग्निफिकेंट इंक्रीज, जहां आपको लगता है कि लास्ट ईयर लिफ्ट मेंटेनेंस वाज 8 lakhs whereas this year it is only 6 lakhs, राइट? सो यू शुड आस्क दैट क्वेश्चन, बिकॉज जब आपकी कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस करोगे और जहां आपको मेजर सिग्निफिकेंट डेविएशन परसेंट वाइज लग रहा है तो वो हाईलाइट करो, वो क्वेरी शीट आप वो कमेटी मेंबर को दो, उनको अपने ऑफिस में बुलाओ या ई मीटिंग करो एंड यू आस्क देम, सर आई हैव रेडी विद ऑल माय पॉइंट्स, आई वांट टू डिस्कस, आई वांट टू नो कि लास्ट ईयर आपका इनकम इतना था, ये कम कैसे हो गया, या लास्ट ईयर इतना था, ये बढ़ क्यों गया. सो दे विल से कि ये साल मैडम लास्ट एजीएम में हम लोगों ने मेंटेनेंस बढ़ाया है. सो यू नीड टू सी द एजीएम मिनट बुक, बिकॉज एज आई सेड एजीएम मिनट बुक, हर मिनट बुक आप देखोगे तो वो मिनट बुक का अकाउंट्स पे रिफ्लेक्शन होगा. तो एजीएम ने अगर सपोज मेंटेनेंस बढ़ाने का अप्रूवल दिया है, सो नेचुरली देयर वुड बी एडिशनल मेंटेनेंस व्हिच इज गेटिंग कलेक्टेड. सो दैट मींस वहां आपको वो दिखेगा अकाउंट्स में, तो उसका जस्टिफिकेशन आपको मिल जाएगा. सैलरीज बढ़ी है तो उसका जस्टिफिकेशन आपको मिलेगा. कोई मेजर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अलॉट किया है और उसका यूटिलाइजेशन, जैसे पेंडिंग फंड कलेक्ट किया है सोसाइटी ने ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ 2-3 years, and this year during your audit period, let's say pending work was going on, so that expense must have been adjusted against the pending fund. So वो amount कहाँ से आया? So all these things you will come to know only through the minutes. So prepare this comparative statement. And why it is important? Because let's say lift maintenance was 8 lakhs last year, this time 6 lakhs. So ideally the expense would increase by maybe 10% or 15% because of the inflation, right? It cannot go down. And as far as the lift maintenance, it cannot go down unless and until there is some some explanation given to you which is convincing, right? So when you sit with the managing committee, and that time you will come to know, that time society committee they will say nahi kuch like there is no change, same vendor, nothing is changed. And if you have done the vouching properly or your staff has done the vouching properly, so from narration itself they will capture that last payment was done, let's say up to December or let's say up to January. So 2 months expenses or provision towards this lift maintenance is not done, or maybe property tax or water charges or electricity charges. So provision ही किया नहीं है, accountant भूल गया provision करने के लिए. So if there is a under provision, that means the surplus is inflated, right? And if the surplus is inflated, that is not correct, right? So maybe it is inadvertently done by the society accountant. He is not because he's handling 500 and 1,000 societies. But this is a major point. If there is an under provision and if there is a surplus inflated, you need to specify this quantification. You need to quantify that amount and you need to put it in your audit certificate, that is your independent auditor's report, saying that due to this there is a inflation, the surplus is inflated to the extent of 2 lakhs. So the surplus figure is to be read as like this, it should have been this as against this. So this will give the members a clue that oh, society is not working properly. ये लोग बोल रहे हैं surplus है, but actually society तो loss में चल रहा है. Or it can be other way to the managing committee member that the surplus is, we are not in surplus, we are in deficit. That means, let me not use the word loss, deficit. So that means there is the income is not sufficient to cover the expenses. So we need to increase the maintenance. So they can go with an agenda to before the general body saying that we need to increase the maintenance. So ये जो point है कि ये under provision है, ये आपको कब मालूम पड़ेगा? when you as a statutory auditor, you are preparing this comparative analysis, you are asking the justification, and you observed, and then you came to know that yes, it was a mistake in the accounts, you need to mention it in your audit certificate. If you are not quantifying this, if you are not giving this comment, say rule 69 of MCS, which talks about removal of auditor from the panel, has this point. It says if there is a under provision, or if there is no provision of particular expense, and if you as an auditor forgot to, or if you have not commented on that, or if you have not pointed it out to the society, then your name would be removed from the panel. And that is why again and again I'm using this rule 69 1G, which talks about removal of the auditor. So take this audit seriously. I know the fees are not commensurate, right? The remuneration which is prescribed is not commensurate to the work or the time that we are spending. But if you are accepting, you have to put your blood in that particular assignment. Otherwise, straight away, you should say, no, I don't want to do this work, right? But take the audit assignments, because audit assignments will give you the other work. You can explore the other opportunities that will give you the taxation clients, right? That will give you the other work which the housing societies they have with them, right? Related to any other matter. And that is the reason. So do it diligently. Don't take it casually, right? Now I am also mapped bylaw. So this 140, 145, 162, 163, this talks about the audit provisions in bylaw. Now auditor should be the auditor who is appointed by the general body. The auditor should be from the panel. That is the second important thing about the auditor. Third thing, same auditor can be continued by the society for maximum 3 consecutive years. That means let's say there is a housing society, 3 years complete ho gaya hai kisi auditor ka, so they should not appoint the same auditor for the 4th year. There should be break, and then some other firm or some other auditor firm should be appointed, and again after 1 year, let's say they can continue with the old auditor, right? So continuous period, consecutive 3 years. Now the point is whether the auditor can be appointed continuously for 3 years as per the AGM minute books. Let's say एक हाउसिंग सोसाइटी है जिसने रेजोल्यूशन पास किया है, सीए शिल्पा शिंगारे इज appointed for financial year 17 18 18 19 19 20, right? Whether this kind of resolution is proper, it is not correct. The auditor, as I said, the auditor is appointed for the current financial year, right? So only for 1 year. So every year by way of reappointment, the auditor needs to be appointed, and you should have a minutes. That means in particular that AGM minutes, the name of the auditor firm should get reflected specifically. That needs to be ensured. Also, the auditor needs to give the consent. There is a cap on the audit also. The way you have cap on tax audits, maximum tax audits you can do. Same way, there is a cap on the society audits. How many audits? 20 audits maximum you can do, provided the society's paid up capital is less than 1 lakh or more than 1 lakh. So 1 lakh is the paid up capital. So normally 1 lakh and 500 ka share hota hai, right? 50 shares of 5 shares of 50 each. Now it is 10 shares. So 500 rupees का share होता है हर member का. So this 1 lakh divided by 500 आप करो तो कितना आएगा? उतना ही members का society आप कर सकते हो n number of below that. So you can do n number of societies. So if it is, let's say 50 members, 100 members, 150 members, so you can do n number of audit. But once the paid up capital is more than 1 lakh, so and if you are handling society, let's say 20 25 societies where paid up capital is more than 1 lakh, that means you have breached that cap of 20, and then you are not supposed to accept the audit. Still you have accepted the audit, so that will go against you for the removal of the auditor if someone is pointing out, because your data, as I said, return of auditor and annual report of activities. So section 79(1)(a) is return of annual report of activities, which is being uploaded by the society. 79(1)(b) is also uploaded by the society, right? So 79(1)(a) के return में सोसाइटी का पूरा फिनेंशियल कैप्चर होता है, एवरेज फॉर्म ऑफ बैलेंस शीट विच इज कैप्चर्ड. तो उसमें वो सारा डेटा आता है कि इसका कैपिटल कितना है, मेंबर्स कितने हैं, लोन्स कितना है, बोरोइंग्स कितना है. तो उसमें रजिस्ट्रार को मालूम पड़ जाता है कि ये कितने मेंबर वाला सोसाइटी है, इसका कैपिटल कितना है, कि कौन से ऑडिटर ने इसको ऑडिट किया है, हाउ मेनी ऑडिट्स दैट पर्टिकुलर पर्सन इज डूइंग. सो दिस मे आल्सो गो अगेंस्ट you, and that is why I'm cautioning you, just be careful about that. So whenever you are giving the consent, so there is a format which is not prescribed by the department, but we have an audit manual. So I would request all the members, this is the audit manual which is being prescribed. This is under section 79A. It is in the official gazette. महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट के गैजेट में इसको इशू किया है. So this audit manual, there was a committee which worked on this, and I also attended meetings for this audit manual committee. And housing related, so this is applicable for all 60 types of societies. So this is a Bible. Each and every auditor is supposed to observe this audit manual provision. This is available with DSA office, and 800 pager है. तो हाउसिंग रिलेटेड इसमें कुछ फॉर्मेट्स हैं, सब प्रोसीजर है, तो ये मेरा कंट्रीब्यूशन है टुवर्ड्स दिस ऑडिट मैनुअल. सम सैंपल फॉर्मेट्स एंड ऑल वी हैव गिवन. So I would request everybody to kindly take this copy, because this is mandatory. It is issued under section 79A, so it is mandatory for the auditor to follow the provisions mentioned in the audit manual, right? So take it very seriously. Don't take audits very casually, and if you are interested and if you enjoy this work, then only usme हाथ डालो. That is what I can say. Yeah. So auditor will be appointed by the general body. Consent देना है आपको, तो कंसेंट लेटर में आपको स्पेसिफिकली लिखना है कि आई एम नॉट एक्सीडिंग or that 20 societies cap, I'm within that cap, and that is why I'm accepting. Okay, so I'm eligible. So your eligibility has to be mentioned in that consent letter. See, there are n number of registers. So rule 65 talks about these registers. So all these registers are also should be gone through by the auditor, because you are supposed to comment. As I said, there is a format of the audit report. Part A talks about the serious irregularities, where it goes for the special report. Part B is your analysis of the balance sheet and income and expenditure, and that is why I said that you should be doing the comparative analysis agar aap prepare karoge. So ye comparative analysis of the income and expenditure account and the balance sheet items will help you to prepare your part B, because part B mein aapko each and every balance sheet item and each and every income and expenditure item ka aapko position dena hai ki last year kitna tha, previous year kitna hai, current year kitna hai, what is the increase, what is the decrease, and what is the reason why the income is more, why the income is less, why the expense is more, why the expense is less, why the asset is more, why the liability is less, whatever. So you have to give the justification, right? Because this report goes to the member, and member should be able to digest, member should be able to understand. So this analysis of income and expenditure is must for part B. So part B में आपको ये capture करना है. पार्ट बी में आपको मिनट्स रिलेटेड अगर आपकी कुछ क्वेरीज हैं, जैसे सोसाइटी इज नॉट मेंटेनिंग मिनट बुक्स, दे हैव नॉट गिवन यू द मिनट बुक्स. ओके, minute books is there, it's there, but it is not signed by the committee, or meetings are happening without the quorum for the meetings, then that meeting itself is void ab initio, and the agenda whatever is discussed and resolved becomes invalid. So ऐसा कुछ है, या मिनट बुक सील नहीं हुआ है, साइन नहीं हुआ है, तो ये सारे कमेंट्स आप पार्ट बी में डाल सकते हो. पार्ट सी ऑफ द ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, इट टॉक्स अबाउट द मिसलेनियस क्वेरीज. दैट मीन्स अगर आपका वाउचिंग रिलेटेड कुछ क्वेरीज हैं, कुछ रजिस्टर रिलेटेड क्वेरीज हैं, या कोई मिनिमम मिसलेनियस क्वेरी आपको जो है ड्यूरिंग द ईयर, और यू वांट टू सजेस्ट, सो दैट विल गो इन पार्ट सी. एंड दिस पार्ट ए बी एंड सी इज मस्ट फॉर यू, बिकॉज ये भी मैं देखती हूँ कि मोस्ट ऑफ द auditors, they just give this independent auditors report, that is our audit certificate. They will give form 1 and 28, and एक पेज या 2 पेज का वो जनरल रिमार्क्स का शीट देते हैं. But that is not the report format which is prescribed. So if you don't know the report format, that may go against you for rule 69 for dismissal or removal of your name. So part A, B, C has to be there. Form 1 and 28. Form 1 is a form which is prescribed as a general form for all the societies. So for housing society also, form 1 has to be filled up or prepared. And form 28, it is specifically for the housing society. So department was having 38 forms earlier. Now during this, while working on this audit manual committee, we have reduced those 38 forms to 15 forms, right? So for this current year, because of this COVID, this audit manual and the revised forms are not applicable for financial year 1920. It will be applicable from the next financial year, right? So these forms are prescribed by the department itself. So for housing, it was 28. So all the provisions or whatever society related activities and information है, वो form 28 में भी आपको देना है, conveyance related and all other stuff. and then it will be your balance sheet, income and expenditure, and supporting annexures to your balance sheet, right? So this will be the total audit report which needs to be submitted to the society. Now submission, if you again see rule 69, it talks about how the report is to be submitted. It says the report is to be submitted in a compact disc. That means digital mode is what is being preferred in the Cooperative Act. So it says in compact disc you will submit the report, and it also wants you to upload the report, right? So as an auditor, you will have to upload the report from your audit login. And mostly the site website is not working, so we say that okay, at least a hard copy needs to be submitted. So you submit one hard copy to the department, you submit one copy to the society, one copy to the registrar under whose jurisdiction you are there as a panel auditor, and one copy also needs to be submitted to district special auditor of your region, right? This is as per the circular of 22nd August 2015. All these circulars and everything is available on WRC website. You can find them on my website also, right? And these are very important circulars. 17 December 2016 circular, 22nd August 2015 circular. These are all circulars related to audit, how the audit reports, where to submit, within how many days it should be submitted, what is the process post audit. So everything is mentioned in this circular. So as an auditor, we should know this. Now, upload of the audit report, as I said, it will happen through your audit login. So what is that is to be uploaded? It is not that entire bunch, like because what we are submitting as audit report is our part A, B, C, form 1, form 28, balance sheet, income and expenditure, annexures, independent auditors report. अभी आप अपलोड करने जाओगे तो अपलोड का 1 MB का उनका लिमिट है, तो ये सब अपने को अपलोड नहीं करना है. रूल 69 specifically says that what is to be uploaded is your independent auditors report, that is your audit certificate, part A, because department is interested just to know what are the points which are getting captured in part A from the point of view of regulation and monitoring of that particular society. So part A, and the financial statement, that means balance sheet and income and expenditure. Even the annexures are not required. So this is the minimum requirement to upload from your login. From the auditor's login needs to be uploaded by the auditor in PDF format. The file size is 1 MB, and you have to scan it in grayscale rather than the color. This is just a practical tip I am giving. All the registers and everything you have to verify, you have to comment in part C. So I'm not going in detail. This we have discussed within how many days. ये भी हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया है, ये भी देखा है हम लोगों ने, रेक्टिफिकेशन एंड ऑल, रेम्यूनरेशन टू द ऑडिटर. अगर सपोज मैनेजिंग कमेटी आपको अप्रोच कर रही है, तो आपको अपन स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट के लिए अगर आपको अप्रोच कर रही है, तो यू शुड स्ट्रेट अवे से दैट आई कैन नॉट एक्सेप्ट द ऑडिट बिकॉज इट इज नॉट given by the general body, because auditor has to be appointed by the annual general meeting. It cannot be by the managing committee. And if you are accepting just on the letterhead of the society signed by the chairman and secretary without the resolution of the general body, that is not correct, right? Last date we have discussed. Suppose AGM is not conducted. Now this is also one of the important queries. कुछ सोसाइटीज ऐसे होती है, बोलती मैडम हमारा टर्म खत्म हो गया है, तो अभी हम लोग ये एजीएम नहीं करेंगे. हाँ, see, the act is very clear. Even if your term is expired, now as it is, because of the COVID, the elections are not happening to the all types of society, less than 250 and more than 250 member societies also. The elections are on hold till 31st December, and there is a ordinance of September of the department which states that the period of the managing committee would be extended for 6 months. So jahan expire ho gaya hai period during the COVID period, elections are not going to happen, so that committee will continue for next 6 months, or maybe for the further notification related to election. So if during this period, if your AGM date happens, and if you are not conducting the AGM, then section 75(5) will come into picture, and the committee can be disqualified for non-conduct of AGM. That means it is very, very important provision as far as MCS Act is concerned, that none of these committees should take it lightly, or they should say that नहीं हम लोग AGM नहीं conduct करेंगे, या हमारा audit नहीं हुआ है, or we don't have accounts received, accounts and audit accounts ready, auditor ने अभी तक audit नहीं दिया है, कुछ एजेंडा नहीं है इंपॉर्टेंट, सो ये साल हम लोग एजीएम नहीं करेंगे. देयर इज नो लीवे, देयर इज नो ऑप्शन टू यू. it is mandatory for you to conduct the AGM as per the agenda under section 75(2). If you are not conducting the AGM, section 75(5) will come into picture, and registrar, based on the complaint by the member that AGM was not conducted, the committee can be disqualified, and the members who are disqualified cannot contest the election for next 5 years. That is the provision. This we have dealt with section 79 1A 1B. So I'm not repeating. Section 81 I have already discussed. This also I have discussed more than 20. Audit report, special report, special and specific report I have already discussed with you. Now, who can come on the panel? You can refer Rule 69. I'm not going in detail. What should be the remuneration? Section 81. As I said, Section 81 is your section which is on audit, and Section 75 is on the annual general meeting. So Section 81 says that the remuneration of the auditor would be as prescribed. Prescribed means as per rules, and rule says that it would be as notified, right? So notification, so we have a GR, that is notification dated 29th October 2014. So this is the part which I have captured as far as the housing society is concerned. So in Mumbai, we charge 100 rupees per unit as a fees for the audit. Audit manual, I discussed with you that audit shall be carried out as per accounting and auditing standards of ICI are applicable even to the cooperative society. So don't take the cooperative societies lightly. They are at par with the companies. Actually, each and if you just see, if you see the name of your housing society, it ends with the word limited, right? So when the word ends with the limited, that means it's a corporate entity. The only thing is MCS Act says that the Companies Act will not be applicable, and vice versa. Companies Act also says that cooperative societies will not be under the ambit of the Companies Act, right? Section 81 2 अगर आपने देखा तो it says audit shall include examination of. So what should the auditor examine? Book entry transaction कुछ है क्या, which appears to be just book entry. Nothing has come or received. There is no asset is getting created. There is no physically asset is there in the records or actually in possession of the society, but only in the books it says. If you find it like that, if your observation of your audit gives you that kind of implication, then you have to qualify the report. Personal expenses debited to revenue, whether loans have been shown as deposit, financial assistance, तो ये डी पॉइंट है, वो हाउसिंग सोसाइटी को नहीं आएगा. फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ कैश बैलेंस ऑन सिक्योरिटीज, दैट मीन्स कैश का जो बैलेंस है वो हमको फिजिकली वेरीफाई करना है. फॉर ड्यूरिंग द ऑडिट पीरियड ऑल्सो यू कैन वेरीफाई. क्विक एक्शन अगेंस्ट ओवरड्यूज 101. Now this section is 154B29, which will deal separately in MCS Amendment Act. So जो आउटस्टैंडिंग होता है, मेंबर्स जो है मेंटेनेंस नहीं भर रहे हैं, तो उनका अगर वो 3 महीने के बाद नोटिस देने के बाद 3 नोटिस देने के बाद भी अगर वो मेंटेनेंस का पैसा नहीं भर रहे हैं, तो इसमें क्या होता है, दैट बर्डन इज देयर ऑन द अदर मेंबर्स हु आर रेगुलरली पेइंग, राइट? सो देयर इज अ मिसमैच ऑफ द कैश फ्लो, एंड दैट इज व्हाई द ऑडिटर हैज टू qualify, saying that whether the quick action recovery proceedings, because as per the MCS Act under section 101, ये पहले वाला section है, अभी 154B29, you can, the society can approach the registrar for the recovery certificate without intervention of the court. This is the easiest and best way of getting the recovery certificate for the amounts due to the society, right? So whether the society has taken this action, whether society has initiated this recovery proceedings or not, as an auditor you have to qualify. You have to see and qualify and verify whether society is functioning for its object. All the auditors were pointing out conveyance is not done. Conveyance is not done. So what is conveyance? Conveyance is whether the land is transferred in the name of the housing society or not in revenue records. Whether the housing society is the owner of that particular land on which the structure is there, that building is there. So that if you see the model bylaw clause 5, which talks about the objects to form the society, the first object is to get the conveyance from the builder, that means, or the developer. That means the society is registered to get the conveyance from the builder, but most of the societies in Mumbai and in Maharashtra have not gone for the conveyance as such, and that means the object for which the society is formed itself has failed, and the society can be deregistered also if the auditors are pointing out in part A. But that is, since it's housing, you can't simply deregister societies like that. But as an auditor, you should comment. Rectification we have already dealt with. Section 81(5), I said it is your right to get the notice served of the AGM. So go and attend the AGM. Section 81(5), I said it is like when you can issue the audit report. It says auditor shall submit audit report within 1 month from its completion, and any case before issuance of notice of annual general body meeting, and that is why don't backdate the report. Submission of audit report, I said it is to be uploaded online. This we have already discussed. These are the grounds for removal. Then there is some schedules which needs to be which are also part of your audit report. It says that whether any amount which should have been brought into the books of the society, whether it is being brought or not. That means जो housing society का आप audit कर रहे हैं, so you need to ask them whether any other activity they are doing. Because in one of my audit case, I got the information that the society का building है और उसी plot पे एक मंदिर भी है. तो मंदिर में जो पैसा आता है, कुछ donation आ रहा है. So who is booking that? Whether it is the trust or the trust is booking that income or it is coming to the housing society. So ये सब आपको देखना है कि पैसा money which ought to have been received, whether it is received or not, right? These are section 69 1G. This is very important section for the auditor because it talks about the ground for removal. आपका नाम पैनल से कब निकल सकता है? Because मेरा पूरा अभी 1.5 घंटे से शायद 4:30 we started. Since last 2 hours I am talking on the audit part only. And every point I'm just talking about rule 69 कि ये आपका नाम remove हो सकता है. So there are a number of things which are being prescribed. Delay in submission, non-disclosure of true and correct picture, consent given, appointment accepted, but you have not completed within stipulated period, non-submission of specific report, failure to submit special report, failure to file FIR, non-submission of audit rectification report. If you are borrower of that society, if any of the family member is there on the committee, if any of the partner is doing the internal audit, if any of the member is your or employee of that your relative is employee of that society, you can't accept the audit, and those will go against you. I mean, your name can be removed. What are the common mistakes that we make as an auditor? We appoint the managing committee's letter and we start the audit. No, it should be by the general body. You should not accept the audit if you are crossing the 20 ka cap. Okay, you should communicate with the previous auditor. It is not that you need to take the NOC, but you need to intimate the previous auditor, and that previous auditor can be a GDCA. It is not that only if he is a CA you will write to him. Even if he is a GDCA, you need to communicate that I am appointed for this financial year and I want to know whether I should take or whether you have anything to tell me, because this is about the independence you need to preserve as an auditor, right? Then audit commenced without the consent letter, audit accepted even knowing that the previous audits are not done. That means previous audit नहीं हुए और आप current year का ही सिर्फ audit कर रहे हैं. That is not correct. Rectification report आपने देखा नहीं है, bylaws के हिसाब से आपने audit किया नहीं है, सिस्टम जनरेटेड प्रिंटआउट्स आपने देखे नहीं है, कैश वाउचिंग नहीं है, कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस नहीं किया है, इनएडेक्वेट प्रोविजन नहीं किया है, आपने है लेकिन आपने कमेंट नहीं किया है, ऑब्जेक्शंस आपने लिए नहीं है एक्सपेंसेस इनकम के लिए, लेजर स्क्रूटिनाइज नहीं किया, बैंक बैलेंस कंफर्मेशन के साथ आपने बैंक बैलेंस चेक नहीं किया है, एफडी सर्टिफिकेट्स आपने वेरीफाई नहीं किया और आप इन्वेस्टमेंट कर रहे हो. सत्यम सबको मालूम है ना, सत्यम सा का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स अलॉट हुए, आपने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स देखे नहीं है, सस्पेंस लेजर है जो आपने स्क्रूटिनाइज नहीं किया हुआ है, उस पे कुछ कमेंट नहीं किया, बैंक रिको आपने देखा नहीं है, मिनट्स बुक देखे नहीं है, टीडीएस लेजर्स देखे नहीं, उस पे कुछ कमेंट नहीं है, इलेक्शन रिलेटेड आपने कुछ कमेंट नहीं किया है. ये सारी ये कॉमन मिस्टेक्स हैं which I feel as an auditor we should be not doing it. You should discuss the draft report with the managing committee, that is mandated for as far as form 1 is concerned. You should take the representation before signing the report. You should put your membership number, you should put your audit panel number, you should put your registration number, firm registration number, and even UDIN is mandatory for the cooperative societies. So this is what the audit and accounts provision. This is my blog, that is CA Shilpa Shinagare Real Cooperative Info blog. On this blog, all the GRs, notifications, circulars, whatever I receive, I immediately post it on my blog. These are my YouTube videos which are available. Almost 50 to 60 videos are there. This is the name of my YouTube video, that is Sahkar Viswa. So all the points all related to audit, income tax, GST, all small points are being covered by me, and all the videos are there on this channel. So with this, we are through with the first topic, that is accounts and audit provision. So we are left with half an hour to cover the amendments. Yeah. So thank you so much. We'll just take 1 or 2 minutes break. I hope I was not too fast, because there were lot many things to be shared with you. We will take some question answer also, but let me take up the amendment also. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, Mr. Prajapati.
Yes, no problem, madam. Take. Yeah,
Amendments will cover in maybe half an hour. Will cover.
okay.
I hope it was okay.
Yeah, very informative. Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, because इतना सारा है ना, भले ही वो topic audit and accounts provision हो, but lot many things
Yeah,
to
it's
be uh,
very lengthy and
yeah, to be informed, and auditors should be made aware. That is what we should be doing through these seminars and webinars. Okay, so I'll move to my next topic, that is MCS amendment. So as an auditor, as I said, we should know the legal framework, and in that legal framework, the act and rules provision is of paramount importance. So there is an amendment to the MCS Act that has happened last year. The notification, that gazette notification, it came on 23rd July 2019, making the amendments applicable from 9th March 2019. And these amendments are basically amendments only related to the housing societies, because as I said, in the act there are 60 types of societies, and this particular act, when I say act, that means this is the book which I would request everybody to please have it in your office. This is by Sunil Dighe, Advocate Sunil Dighe. This is a good book on the MCS Act and Rules. So this Act and Rules, this is applicable for all 60 types of societies, right? But when we say talk about the housing societies, you cannot compare housing with cooperative bank. You cannot compare housing with a credit society. You cannot compare housing with a sugar factory. And that is why there was a thought process going on at the ministry level, that we should have a committee, and there were NGOs and federations, NGOs like our NGO, We Indus Societies Welfare Association. We represent on the issues of the cooperatives with the department and the ministry, the issues faced by the housing sector. So there was a thought process going on that in the account we should have a separate chapter, because we cannot treat the housing at par with the other societies, because where housing there can be 10 members or 15 members housing society, whereas bank there can be 10,000 members and 15,000 members. So election in a cooperative bank and election in a housing society should not be at par, right? So these were the points where discussion was going on, and accordingly a committee got constituted uh, to uh, to come out with a draft amendments, or come out with a draft provision where it was like responsibility of the committee to know or to give them the inputs, that which are the provisions which are not applicable to the housing society should be removed, which are the provisions which are applicable to the housing societies which are not there right now should be inserted, which are the provisions which are there in the act which needs to be modified or which needs to be relaxed as far as the housing societies are concerned. So this was the mandate which was given by the committee, which was constituted at the ministry level. And as I said at the outset, that I was fortunate enough to be a part of this committee, and there were few inputs given by me, and which was very well accepted by the committee, and now we are finding them as part of the new amendment, and it's a new chapter, and it's a new provisions as far as the housing societies are concerned. So as an auditor, as a chartered accountant, as an advocate, as a practitioner, tax consultant dealing in housing societies, we should know these amendments, then only we'll be able to guide the members properly. So I will share the screen of that amendments now. Yeah, can you see this? The screen is, you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, but it is not open.
Hello?
Hello? Ah,
You can see the screen, right?
Yes, yes, screen is
Yeah.
visible.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the gazette which talks about the amendment. It says that it is applicable. It shall be deemed to have come into force on 9th March. That means the provisions which I am going to discuss now, they are applicable with effect from 9th March 2019. We'll just deal with the important things. Now, as you know, in newspapers or maybe on WhatsApp, you know that now the elections can be conducted internally. So this is one point which, as a committee, we thought that this needs to be changed, because there are small societies where, as per bylaw, it says 11 members should be there in the committee minimum. For the society up to 100 members. Now, where the committee, where the society itself is of 10, 15, 50 members, 15 or 20 members or 50 members, where from you will get 11 members, right? Old societies, especially where old senior members are there. We thought that we'll need to relax this provision as far as the housing societies is concerned, because, as I said, it is a constitutional mandate that the election should happen through the state cooperative election authority. So there is a separate state cooperative election authority, separate pradhikaran, just to conduct the elections, and it's a separate authority itself. They don't have any link with the registrar, but they are working in hands with the cooperative department, right? So election ka jo order hai for a particular society, it will come from the state cooperative election authority, it will come to the registrar, and then the returning officer will be appointed or allotted by the registrar. That is how these two authorities are working in sync. Now, this state cooperative election authorities say election karne ke liye, as you know, the number of housing societies are more and the staff at the departmental level is very less. So the elections were not happening for over the years, even after the E2 form is submitted to the state cooperative election authority. And that was the point which was there for the discussion or for the consideration. And now, as per the amended act, up to 250 members, the elections can be done internally. Now, the point is, this act is, it has come or it is notified last year, but unfortunately, as of now, even the rules are not yet notified, and that is why the elections are getting postponed every quarter. Right now, it is on hold till 31st December because of the COVID also, but rules are also not there. So societies for less than 250 members, they can internally do the election without going to the state cooperative election authority. But as per, there are rules, we have worked on the rules, but rules are not yet published. Rules are ready, but it is yet to be published. And in the rules, we have made it a part that, okay, state cooperative election authority से नहीं होगा आपका, but you need to appoint someone as a returning officer, and that there would be a panel maintained at the departmental level, and society will have a right to appoint the returning officer. पहले क्या था, रजिस्ट्रार के ऑफिस से इलेक्शन करने के लिए कोई बंदा वो लोग भेजते थे एज अ रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर. So now the society has a I mean, liberty to appoint the returning officer. That is what the amended act says. But since the rules are on hold, you can't conduct the elections, right? Section 101 is a section of a recovery section of the erstwhile act. Now it is 154B29, which will deal subsequently. Certain definition. Then 146 and 147. As I said, section 146 is a section of offenses. 147 is a section of penalties. तो क्या offense है, उसके सामने क्या penalty लग सकता है. तो जैसे section 32 है महाराष्ट्र कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज एक्ट का, कि जिसमें बोला है कि कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट्स मेंबर को आप वेरीफाई करने के लिए दे सकते हैं. तो वो अभी 154 करके एक नया हम लोगों ने यहाँ चैप्टर डाला हुआ है. So the section now would be 154 as far as housing is concerned. So 154B8 mein, it talks about the documents which can be verified or inspected by the member. It is the right of the member to inspect the document. He can take the Xerox based on the charges. और अगर suppose उसने कुछ application दिया society को कि मुझे ये documents verify करने, but the list is very restrictive list, और सोसाइटी ने सपोज उसको ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स वेरीफाई करने नहीं दिए, तो 100 रुपीज पर डे पेनल्टी लगेगा जब से वो ड्यू डेट खत्म हो जाएगा, and maximum 5,000 penalty can be charged to the society. So ये 146 और 147 में थोड़ा सा ये change किया हुआ है. So if you just see the section 154(8), so this is the offense now, and penalty of 5,000 can be levied on the committee if they are not giving you any documents for inspection which are prescribed under 154(B)(8). Then, chapter 13B is a chapter. This is a separate housing chapter in the MCS Act. That means this chapter is a part of MCS Act, but these provisions are applicable exclusively for the housing societies. Now, 154B, it says these are the provisions which apply mutatis mutandis. That means as it is. तो ये सारे section जो है, जो MCS Act में है, ये as it is housing society को भी applicable होंगे. 154B2 says that these are the provisions there are n number of sections. It says that these are the sections which are not applicable to the housing societies now, because maybe ये applicable थे ही नहीं पहले, ये पत संस्था के लिए थे, ये बैंक्स के लिए थे, ये प्राइमरी एग्रीकल्चरल सोसाइटी के लिए थे, तो ये हाउसिंग के लिए वैसे भी एप्लीकेबल नहीं थे. और देर आर सर्टन sections where modifications have been made or some other sections are being inserted. So this 154b2 talks about that. Then 154b1 is a section of a definition. जैसे हर एक्ट में डेफिनेशन होता है, तो ये 13b चैप्टर में 154b सेक्शन ऐड किया हुआ है, और 154b से लेके 1 से लेके 31 तक ये चलेगा रिलेटेड टू हाउसिंग. तो डेफिनेशन से, डेफिनेशंस में भी आई विल नॉट गो इन डिटेल. इसमें इंपॉर्टेंट डेफिनेशन हम लोगों ने एक इंट्रोड्यूस किया है, एसोसिएशन ऑफ अलॉटीज. दैट एसोसिएशन ऑफ सोसाइटी मींस एसोसिएशन नॉट लेस देन 5. दैट मींस पहले जो फेडरेशन हम लोग बोलते थे, सो नाउ विल कॉल इट एज एसोसिएशन ऑफ सोसाइटीज, बिकॉज फेडरेशन के लिए आपको 5 लोग लगते हैं, तो यहाँ आपको 5 लोगों का 5 रजिस्टर्ड सोसाइटी, दे कैन कम टुगेदर एंड दे कैन फॉर्म द एसोसिएशन ऑफ सोसाइटीज. ऑडिटर सेम डेफिनेशन. बिल्डर प्रमोटर का डेफिनेशन जो रेरा में अभी चेंज हुआ है, सो दैट डेफिनेशन हैज बीन कैप्चर्ड फॉर द हाउसिंग एज सच. देन विल गो टू द चीफ प्रमोटर. कॉर्पस फंड इज द डेफिनेशन, बिकॉज ये भी बहुत लिटिगेशन में आता था. कॉर्पस फंड, रीडेवलपमेंट के टाइम कॉर्पस फंड मिलता है, तो कॉर्पस फंड मीन्स क्या है? इट वाज नॉट नेवर defined, so this was my contribution that corpus fund needs to be defined. So corpus fund means payment received or receivable by the society from the developer. So this is the definition given for surrendering the development right, or any other or any fund which is contributed as decided by the general meeting, right? So this is the corpus fund का definition. हाँ, ये 8 नंबर का जो definition है, cooperative housing association. Now, while doing the conveyance of the housing societies, let's say there is a common layout and there are only 2 or 3 societies, or there is one society, housing society under Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, and there is another structure which is under the Maharashtra Apartment Ownership Act 1970, that is condominium, right? And there is one private limited company, because you can form limited company or private limited company also if you want any legal status. Like आप अगर कोई agreement देखो builder के साथ हुआ है, so it says that company or condominium or the जॉइंट स्टॉक कंपनी इट सेज, राइट? सो ऐसे 3 स्ट्रक्चर है, तो इसका कन्वेंस कैसे होगा? बिकॉज फॉर फेडरेशन इफ यू हैव टू कम टुगेदर यू नीड मिनिमम 5 सोसाइटी, सो यू कांट मेक द फेडरेशन आल्सो. सो ये एक प्रॉब्लम था कन्वेंस होने के लिए, एंड दैट इज व्हाई वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड दिस कोऑपरेटिव हाउसिंग एसोसिएशन. ये नया डेफिनेशन हम लोगों ने इंट्रोड्यूस किया है. व्हाट इट सेज? इट मींस एसोसिएशन ऑफ हाउसिंग सोसाइटीज or other legal bodies. Now why that word other legal bodies is added? Because ये 3 लोग जो है need not be ये housing societies ही हो, एक उसमें कंडोमिनियम हो सकता है, कोई जॉइंट स्टॉक कंपनी भी हो सकती है, बट फॉर द सेक ऑफ कन्वेंस दिस 3 people, 3 entities they can come together for getting conveyance of that particular common layout, so that the conveyance procedure can become smooth. Okay, so this is one definition which we have introduced. कमिटी का डेफिनेशन कुछ नहीं है. कमिटी मेंबर वी आर नॉट डिस्कसिंग. डिफॉल्टर एंड ड्यूज, दिस डेफिनेशन वाज नॉट देयर. दिस अगेन दिस वाज माय कंट्रीब्यूशन. आई सेड everywhere we say he is a defaulter, he is a defaulter. We say that these are the dues, these are the dues. 101 के केसेस हम लोग जब लेके जाते हैं, तो ड्यूज में क्या क्या आता है, बिकॉज सामने वाला एडवोकेट है या सामने वाला कंसल्टेंट है, तो ये सबसे पहले बोलता है कि ये पर्टिकुलर अमाउंट है, ये ड्यूज में नहीं आता है, दिस इज नॉट एज पर द एक्ट. सो वी नीड टू डिफाइन ड्यूज एंड वी नीड टू डिफाइन द डिफॉल्टर ऑल्सो. So defaulter is being defined now. It says defaulter means a member or flat owner who fails to pay the dues of the society within 3 months from the date of service of the bill or due date of payment. That means मैंने society ने bill दिया, 3 महीना उसने bill pay नहीं किया है, right? What it says, it is just a person or a, and you just read the words, it says member or flat owner or occupier. So this occupier word is also added now. That means पहले क्या होता था कि जो बंदा जिसके नाम पे फ्लैट है उसके अगेंस्ट आप रजिस्ट्रार के ऑफिस में जाके लिटिगेशन या 101 का एप्लीकेशन हम लोग करते थे रिकवरी का. अभी यहाँ जो ऑक्यूपायर है, भले ही वो ओनर नहीं है, हाँ, आप वो ऑक्यूपायर को भी पार्टी बना सकते हैं. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग विच इज बीइंग अमेंडेड. या सो दैट मीन्स ड्यूज 3 महीने के बाद अगर उसने डिमांड करके भी पैसा नहीं दिया, तो नॉर्मली फर्स्ट नोटिस, सेकंड नोटिस, थर्ड नोटिस भी जाएगा, एंड दैट पर्सन वुड बी डिक्लेयर्ड एज अ डिफॉल्टर And once you are a defaulter, you will lose your section 27 right, voting and contesting rights. You will not be able to contest the elections also. Now dues needs to be defined. So what is dues? This definition also, it is interesting. It says it means the amount payable by a member or a flat owner. Here occupier word is not there. It is member or flat owner to the society and demanded by the society. That means you need to demand by issuing bill or notice in writing, and such demand is based on the provisions of this act, rules and bylaws. That means what happens? That means what happens is when जब आप रिकवरी सर्टिफिकेट के लिए रजिस्ट्रार को अप्रोच करते हो, तो आप वो मेंबर को डिफॉल्टर करके डिक्लेयर करके जब रजिस्ट्रार के पास जाते हो, तो आप जो बोल रहे हो कि ये ड्यूज है और इसका रिकवरी सर्टिफिकेट हमको मिलना चाहिए, सो दोस ड्यूज शुड बी लेजिटिमेट ड्यूज. That means it is based on the provisions of the act, rules and bylaws. तो आप कोई और ऐसा चार्ज मत लगाओ कि जो बायलॉ में सपोर्ट नहीं है, जो एक्ट में नहीं है, रूल्स में नहीं है, कहीं जीआर या नोटिफिकेशन नहीं है ना. तो ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट था इसको क्लैरिफाई करना. सो ड्यूज का डेफिनेशन भी हम लोगों ने चेंज किया है और इंट्रोड्यूस किया. रादर चेंज नहीं है, वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड डिफॉल्टर एंड ड्यूज. फ्लैट आई एम नॉट डिस्कसिंग. जनरल बॉडी, जनरल मीटिंग, हाउसिंग फेडरेशन, हाउसिंग सोसाइटी. जैसे अगर आप आपका हाउसिंग सोसाइटी का रजिस्ट्रेशन सर्टिफिकेट देखो, तो हाउसिंग सोसाइटी, देयर आर few types of societies. As I said, there is a premises society, there is a housing society, there is a tenant co-partnership. जैसे हम लोग जो फ्लैट में रहते हैं, तो अगर if you see your housing societies का registration certificate, it will say MUM/HSG, that is Housing Mumbai/HSG/TC, that is tenant co-partnership जो आपका नंबर है, रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर और फिर आपका साल, जिस साल में आप रजिस्टर्ड हुए हैं. ठीक है. तो ये टीसी जो है टेनेंट को पार्टनरशिप. दैट मींस मैंने जो बिल्डर से फ्लैट लिया है एंड वी आर स्टेइंग इन दैट फ्लैट, सो दिस इज अ टेनेंट को पार्टनरशिप. नाउ ये भी बहुत सारे मेंबर्स का, या इवन मुझे खुद को ऐसे लगता था कि अरे आई एम ओनिंग, आई एम ऑक्यूपायर, आई हैव ऑक्यूपेंसी राइट, बट व्हाई आई एम कॉल्ड एज अ टेनेंट? सो आई नीड टू डिफाइन टेनेंट को पार्टनरशिप, राइट. देयर आर प्लॉट ओनर सोसाइटीज. व्हाट इज प्लॉट ओनर? दैट मींस पहले सारे 10-15 लोग एक साथ आते हैं, प्लॉट बाय करते हैं and then उसका registration करके लेते हैं. We form a plot owner society to buy that plot, and then that plots are divided and each member can construct, or there is a common construction that comes. So plot owner society भी है, housing society. There are premises societies, there are industrial gala societies. So ये define होना जरूरी था. So उसका हम लोगों ने definition दे दिया है. And interestingly premises society का थोड़ा issue था कि premises society के तो bylaws तो housing के ही follow हो रहे थे. So whether premises society is a housing society, so you see other housing societies का जो definition है C में ऊपर. So other housing societies means the house mortgage cooperative societies, house construction cooperative housing societies, and premises cooperative societies where all the units are offices and commercial galas. So premises societies are covered under housing societies, and this will have impact on GST applicability, right? मेंबर्स के भी डेफिनेशंस हम लोगों ने चेंज किए हैं, कुछ रीइंट्रोड्यूस किए हैं. जैसे एसोसिएट मेंबर, जो मैंने बताया कि 2013 द एक्ट गॉट अमेंडेड बिकॉज ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट. सो उसमें जो एसोसिएट मेंबर का जो क्राइटेरिया बायलॉ में आया, मॉडल बायलॉ, सो इट सेज दैट इफ यू हैव टू बिकम अ एसोसिएट मेंबर, you should have a stake in the property. That means in your agreement for the property, you should be having the ownership right. Now that definition we have totally changed, we have reversed that definition, and now what we say, who can be an associate member? We say that the associate member can be any relative. We have defined the relative. So let's say the flat is in my name. I am not able to attend the meetings. I am not able to contribute or give my suggestions because of maybe my illness. I'm senior. I'm out of India. So I will give a written recommendation to any of my relatives. That is, it can be my spouse, it can be my father, it can be my mother, it can be my brother, sister, son, daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law. I can give a written recommendation saying that this is the person who is I'm authorizing to attend the meeting. And इसके आगे हम लोग जब जाएंगे, तो अंडर सेक्शन 154B11 the associate member even can contest the election provided the NOC in Form 10A is given by this primary or the original member. So associate member as of now can become contest the election. He can come on the committee provided the original member is not contesting. Associate member can vote and he can attend the meeting provided the original member is not attending the meeting, and there is no need to be to have the stake or the ownership right in the property. This is with effect from 9th March 2019. ज्वाइंट मेंबर का भी कंसेप्ट हम लोगों ने यहाँ इंट्रोड्यूस किया है. ज्वाइंट मेंबर क्या है, डिफाइन किया है. ज्वाइंट मेंबर इज व्हाट, लेट्स से मिस्टर एक्स एंड मिसेस एक्स, हस्बैंड वाइफ दोनों का प्रॉपर्टी है, हम अग्रीमेंट में दोनों के नाम है, तो आइडियली बोथ ऑफ देम दे आर द जॉइंट मेंबर. Who can attend the meeting? Anyone. If the first person जिसका शेयर सर्टिफिकेट में फर्स्ट नाम है, वो नॉर्मली he will be the person who will be attending and who will be contesting the elections and attending the meeting. In absence of Mr. X, Mrs. X can vote, Mrs. X can contest the elections. That is what it says. Provisional member, again, this is a new concept which we have introduced. Provisional member is a member. जैसे nomination किया है किसी ने flat का, let's say there is a death of that person. So based on the nomination, the society has to transfer the name of that particular nominee on the share certificate. But that nominee would be a provisional member. That means he just provisionally he is a member, because society has to deal with someone. किसको notice भेजेंगे, किसको bill भेजेंगे, who will make the payment of the maintenance. But this nominee who is a provisional member, he is a fiduciary relationship with the society. He will not be he will just be a custodian of the flat. He will not be able to sell the flat. He will not be able to let out the flat, because there are legal heirs which will come into picture. Let's say there is a death, right? Death के बाद में ही nomination comes into picture. So let's say my father has nominated me, but I have one sister, I have two brothers. So that means they are also equally the legal heir. My mother is also the legal heir for that property. So their stake as per the Hindu Succession Act will also come in place. And that is why I alone, though my name is there in the share certificate, that doesn't mean I'm the owner. Share certificate talks about the membership. It doesn't talk about the ownership, right? So as a provisional member, I won't be able to let out that flat. I won't be able to sell that flat unless and until I take the all other siblings are with me and my mother is also with me, right? So provisional member will be a temporary member, and he will have to bring all the legal heirs on record, and the legal heirs can be brought on record by way of maybe will, probated will, letter of administration, succession certificate. That is what it says. Person, the definition of person, this is again my contribution. If you say Hindu undivided family, that is HUF and LLP, this was not there in the act. Now this act is there since 1960. We find that at least one or two flats are there in the name of the HUF, right? So this HUF was not there in the definition of the person. So I made this as a point. I explained the consequences. I said this has to be there. I explained them what is limited liability partnership, because if partnership can have a flat in the housing society, why not a limited liability partnership? And that is how now the Hindu undivided family, that is HUF and LLB, is part of this definition of a person. This is about the society formation. We are not discussing. Then 154B 4, 5, 6 it talks about B4 and 5. It talks about like associate, joint, and provisional member. The rights of associate, joint, and provisional member. As I said, associate member by way of written recommendation, anybody can become, any relative can become associate member. He can vote and contest. Provisional member, it is the act is silent whether he can contest, but in my opinion, since he can vote, he is a member. As per the record, he can contest the elections also. Joint member, if the first member whose name is there on the share certificate, if he is not voting, if he is not contesting, the joint member can vote and contest in absence of the first member. 154B6, it talks about the cooperative education. While discussing audit and accounts topic, I said section 24A, the spirit of this introduction of section 24A is because this is cooperative principle also, that education and training, it is a mandate of the constitution that the member should be trained, the member should be aware, this cooperative awareness should be created. So cooperative education and training fund, the housing society is used to collect. The only thing is now by virtue of section 154B6, every society may, पहले ये word shall था, that means each and every society shall organize ऐसा था, वो अभी मे कर दिया है. एंड दिस रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू ऑर्गेनाइज दिस एजुकेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम्स for the members, for the committee members, and for the employees of the housing societies or for the cooperative societies is now being shifted to the federation. So now it is the duty and the responsibility of the federation, that is district Mumbai district federation. अगर अपना आपका society Mumbai district federation से affiliated है, so that federation has to impart the training to your members, right? So ये एक change इसमें लाया हुआ है. We'll discuss about the elections. 154B add rights of members to the inspect the documents. So इसमें दिया है कि which are the documents that member can inspect, and if the society is not giving that inspection, this within 45 days they should allow that member to inspect. If even after 45 days, if society is not taking cognizance of your letter as a member, then per day 100 rupees penalty, maximum 5,000 rupees penalty is leviable on the society. Rights and duties of the members. Okay, I'm not going in detail. Now, who is the member who is eligible to contest the election? So, what is the constitution of the committee? Who can come in committee? What is the qualification? The member who can come in the committee, he should not be a defaulter, right? He should not be having any other, like he should not be convicted by the court. जैसे उसका कुछ case चल रहा है and he is convicted maybe as a murderer or something, he cannot come on the committee. And there is some addition that if you are a broker, that means you are estate consultant or property consultant, and if you are selling flats in your own society, then you will not be you should be resigning from the society if you are doing that kind of business. That is what it says. Or if any elections are happening in future, and if you find that some member is dealing with the properties of your own society where he's there in the committee, then that member is disallowed and disqualified to be a member on the committee. That is what it says. That is subsequently in B154 B19, right? Now here the rights of the member, the associate member shall have right to contest. That is 154 B10. उसमें 6 में बोलता है the associate member shall have right to contest the election to the committee with prior written consent of a member. ठीक है? 154B11 it talks about the voting rights. So it talks about the provisional and joint member. ये हम लोगों ने पहले डिस्कस किया है. Transfer of shares on death of the member, society shall transfer share. This is important. 154B13 जैसे डेथ होता है तो सोसाइटी को कैसे ट्रांसफर करना है? नॉमिनेशन है तो नॉमिनी को जाएगा, बट नॉमिनी विल बी अ प्रोविजनल मेंबर एंड लीगल हेयर्स टू बी ब्रॉट ऑन रिकॉर्ड. सो हाउ द लीगल हेयर्स विल ब्रॉट ऑन रिकॉर्ड? ऑन डेथ ऑफ अ मेंबर, the society shall transfer share right title of the deceased member in the society to a person on the basis of testamentary documents. What are testamentary documents? Testamentary documents means will, succession certificate, legal heir certificate, right? Or any family settlement arrangement. We'll go directly on 154B19, that is constitution of committee. कमिटी का कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या होगा? कितना 5 साल का कमिटी रहेगा? सपोज कोई कॉप्ट हुआ है, नॉमिनेट हुआ है न्यूली, देयर इज अ कैजुअल वैकेंसी इन द कमिटी, सो द टर्म ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर मेंबर विल बी co-terminus with the term of the committee. That is what it says. And 154B19(4), if you see 154B19(4), it says any casual vacancy in the committee may be filled up by co-option and term of the co-opted member shall be co-terminus, जो अभी मैंने बताया. That means casual vacancy पहले जो state cooperative election authority के through ही होता था. So now we have made it a point that any casual vacancy in the committee may be filled by co-option and term of the co-opted member shall be co-terminus. But the point is, it says that it can be filled by co-option, but how to fill? What is the procedure? So since the rules are awaited, we are not in a position to give you the procedure how the co-option should happen. So we are awaiting the rules on this particular point. Now, reservation in the societies, as I said, it is a constitutional mandate. As per the constitutional amendment of 2012, it says that there should be reserve categories on the committee. That means आपका जो managing committee है, उसमें कुछ post आपको reserve रखने हैं. There should be 2 women on the committee. And there should be 3 posts. That is SC/ST का एक post होगा, एक OBC का होगा और एक VJNT का होगा. And if you don't have this post, you have to keep those posts vacant. That means ये जो reserve category post है या female या women का जो post है, ये general category वाला उसको भर नहीं सकता. You cannot fill up that post with the general category. like let's say there is 100 member society, हमको 11 members mandatory है as per bylaw. Now in your society you don't have women who are coming forward. There is no SC ST, there is no OBC, there is no VJNT. That means ideally these 5 posts you need to keep vacant, and your committee will consist of 6 members from the general category. That is the minimum post that you should have. And election में 6 लोग general category के minimum चुन के आने चाहिए. Right, this is what the strength of the managing committee. So 154B 20 और 21 में ये clarify किया है, because ये इसमें भी एक थोड़ा सा issue था कि ये जो रिजर्व कैटेगरी के पोस्ट है, तो स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द मैनेजिंग कमिटी, बिकॉज बहुत सारे सोसाइटीज में ये लिटिगेशन है, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर कब अपॉइंट होना चाहिए सोसाइटी पे. जैसे सोसाइटी के मेंबर्स हैं, उन्होंने रिजाइन किया है एंड नाउ देयर इज अ वैक्यूम इन द सोसाइटी. So what is the number count which will say that the society is still having the strength and they can continue as a valid committee. अगर वो particular member number से अगर suppose नीचे है, जैसे 6 is a count let's say, तो 6 से अगर वो सोसाइटी में 3 लोग ही मैनेजिंग कमिटी में बचते हैं, या लेट से ओनली 4 मेंबर्स आर देयर एंड बाकी ने रिजाइन किया, so whether these 4 members, how to arrive at the number which will say that the committee is functioning below quorum, and now the registrar under section 77A has to appoint the administrator for that society. So ये रिजर्व कैटेगरी को पकड़ना है या उसको माइनस करना है, while working out that 2/3 fraction, 2/3 number as a strength. So now 154B 20 and 21, it is clear that this reserve category is not to be considered. If you don't have this reserve category post, you will not consider this for that strength of the managing committee. That is what it says. So I'm not going in detail. I will give this copy. I think I must have given, but I'll give this copy with the MCTC. Yeah, disqualification of committee 154B 23. इसमें as I said, who are the people who cannot come on the committee? It says you are a defaulter. That means अगर आप defaulter हो तो you cannot contest the election, you cannot come on the committee. If you are carrying now this 154B 23(2), if he carries, that means a person who wants to contest the election, if he carries on business of letting, subletting and selling of flats in the housing society of which he is a member. अभी ये जो पॉइंट था, ये तो डिपार्टमेंट वाले जो लोग थे, बिकॉज ये कमिटी में सारे डीडीआर थे, डेप्यूटी रजिस्ट्रार थे, डिविजनल जॉइंट रजिस्ट्रार थे, एसआरए सेक्रेटरी ने इसको हेड किया था ये कमिटी को. तो डिपार्टमेंट वाले तो चाहते थे कि जो ब्रोकर है या जो प्रॉपर्टी कंसल्टेंट है वो कमिटी पे आए ही ना. तो ये जब हमारा ये पॉइंट डिस्कशन पे आया, सो आई सेड दिस इज नॉट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल, बिकॉज as per constitution I can do any business, I can do any profession, I can give any service. So wo constitutional right hai, mera fundamental right hai, so this may go against. So then they said yes, but we have lot of litigation, because what the department is handling the litigation is जो कमिटी में आते हैं, तो कमिटी में सपोज कोई ब्रोकर आता है तो उसको मालूम होता है कौन सा फ्लैट खाली होने वाला है, तो वो खुद का बिजनेस वहां कर रहा है. सो इट इज लाइक यू आर अ रिलेटेड पार्टी एंड यू शुड नॉट बी इंटरेस्टेड पार्टी. तो आपको वहां से इनकम जनरेट नहीं करनी है, राइट? Your bylaw also wants you to give a confirmation that if you are interested party in any of the contract, you should not be attending that meeting, and you should give that kind of confirmation or a declaration to the committee that for this contract I'm interested party, so I will not be participating. So then they said this is the issue. So and that is why now it is modified, थोड़ा सा dilute करके उन्होंने डाला कि ठीक है, अगर वो बंदा अपने ही बिल्डिंग में अगर फ्लैट बेचता नहीं है, then only he can come, but he can sell the flats in any other buildings, right? So this is what the we have to see if any member can challenge this on a constitutional ground. Yeah, then it says that any inquiries going against a particular member, section 83 88, as I said, कुछ फ्रॉड रिलेटेड अगर कुछ इंक्वायरी चल रहा है तो वो बंदा भी नहीं कर सकता है, कोई अगर कन्विक्टेड है तो नहीं कर सकता है. और 5 देखो, इफ ही इनकर्स any of the disqualification similar to that mentioned in the provisions of subsection 1, provisions of clause 7, 8 or 9 of clause F of subsection 1 of 73CA. That means MCS Act का 73CA का जो सेक्शन है, उसका जो सबसेक्शन है 1, उसमें जो क्लॉज है 7, 8 और 9, अगर इसका ये भी इसके अगेंस्ट है तो ये कंटेस्ट नहीं कर सकता है. नाउ दिस इज एनोमली इन द एक्ट. अभी ये 73CA का यहाँ रेफरेंस आया है, बट ऊपर मैंने आपको जो एक लिस्ट बताया कि these are the sections which are not applicable to housing society. So this particular section 73CA के वहाँ capture हुआ है कि this section is not applicable. So ये I have already informed to the ministry that this is there is some anomaly in this while we have drafted. I mean this is हम लोगों ने तो MLAs को वगैरह presentation दिया, फिर law and judiciary में जाके ये act या draft होता है और बाद में ये publish होता है. So to this extent, because जब section 73CA itself is not applicable to a housing society, so you cannot derive or you cannot refer a provision which is there in 73CA for disqualification of any member. That is what my point is. So we may find a change or amendment or maybe a clarification to that effect. So और ये जो clarification ये 2 children वाला जो है 2001, तो 3 बच्चे हैं आपको, तो आप कमिटी में नहीं आ सकते हैं, तो ये actually 73CA में mention किया हुआ है. So this is what it is. Then motion of no confidence, I'm not going into that. Management of society, I'm not going into that. Obligation of 154B27. This is a new section which we have introduced. It is like obligation of society to take action, and registrar का एक power दिया हुआ है. 154B27 में now registrar has got a power to direct the housing society to do certain act or not to do or refrain from doing, means ये करो या फिर ये नहीं करना चाहिए, ऐसे डायरेक्शन अभी रजिस्ट्रार सीओ मोटो दे सकता है या बेस्ड ऑन दी application by a member. This is the power given to the registrar. Let's say transfer premium 25,000 ही चार्ज करना है. अगर कोई सोसाइटी 50,000 या 1 लाख करती है और कोई मेंबर कंप्लेन करता है तो 154B27 में उसका डायरेक्शन इशू हो सकता है, राइट? अभी ये कोविड जब से शुरू हुआ तो यू मस्ट हैव सीन व्हाट्सएप पे रजिस्ट्रार्स के लेटर्स घूम रहे थे कि रजिस्ट्रार ने ये ऑर्डर दिया है कि हाउसिंग सोसाइटी के कमेटी मेंबर्स को सैनिटाइजर रखना है, ये करना है, नीचे थर्मल चेकिंग होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए, इट इज अ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, सीनियर सिटीजन को बाहर नहीं निकलना है इनिशियली. सो ये जो डायरेक्शन है किसके अंडर इशू हुए थे? दिस वेर इशूड अंडर सेक्शन 154B27. अगर आपको चाहिए तो आप एक क्रॉस चेक कर लीजिए. सो दिस इज वन सेक्शन विच वी हैव इंट्रोड्यूस्ड. बाकी रेस्ट ऑफ द सेक्शन इज ओके. हाउसिंग फेडरेशन के पावर्स क्या है वो हम लोगों ने दिए हुए हैं, जैसे एजुकेशन एंड ट्रेनिंग, अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ द ऑडिटर, ये भी उनको हाउसिंग फेडरेशन को ही देना था फॉर देयर वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट, for which we as a chartered accountant we denied that no, this power should not be going to the federation, it should lie with the registrar, that is commissioner office, right? Then 154B29 जैसे 101 रिकवरी फॉर द आउटस्टैंडिंग्स, तो पहले 101 सेक्शन था जिसमें आप रिकवरी सर्टिफिकेट डेप्यूटी रजिस्ट्रार के पास एप्लीकेशन सोसाइटी कर सकती है. एंड दिस रजिस्ट्रार ऑफिस इज अ क्वासी जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी. व्हाट इज क्वासी जुडिशियल अथॉरिटी? बिकॉज एडवोकेट्स आर मे बी द मेंबर्स और द पार्टिसिपेंट्स. क्वासी जुडिशियल मींस ये अथॉरिटी जो है ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अथॉरिटी, यहाँ सोसाइटीज फॉर्म करने का, उनका मैनेजमेंट करने का, उनको मॉनिटरिंग करने का, रेगुलेशन करने का, ये सारा पावर्स रजिस्ट्रार को है. बट दिस along with the administrative powers they have also given the judicial powers. तो इसीलिए जब हम लोग कंप्लेंट करते हैं तो वहां हियरिंग होता है, दोनों पार्टीज को सुन लेते हैं और एक ऑर्डर देते हैं वो लोग, तो ये जुडिशियल पावर्स भी दिए. सो दिस आर कॉल्ड क्वासी जुडिशियल. द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अथॉरिटीज who are given the judicial powers are called quasi judicial authorities, and we as a chartered accountant we can very much appear before the quasi judicial authorities, right? And that is why as a chartered accountant I also appear before the authorities. I appear up to divisional level, divisional registrar, DDRs, divisional joint registrar, state ministry. So you as a chartered accountant we can take up the litigation of the housing societies also. So 154B29, so 101 is replaced. Now the section is 154B29. इसमें 101 का थोड़ा सा मैग्नीफाई किया है, जो पावर्स है डेप्यूटी रजिस्ट्रार के या असिस्टेंट रजिस्ट्रार के. इसमें रजिस्ट्रार अभी इन्वेस्टिगेशन भी थोड़ा कर सकता है इफ रिक्वायर्ड. ही कैन मेक सच enquiries. That is what is added in 154B29. And as I said, in the definition of the defaulter we have also included the occupiers also. 154B30 is house building societies, which is not applicable at least in Mumbai. 154B31 is a saving clause. Saving clause means since now this is the amended act, new provisions are in place. So पहले वाले provisions में जो कुछ litigation was going on, whatever orders were passed, whatever circulars were passed as far as the housing societies are concerned, that will be kept as it is intact. तो नया एक्ट आया, that means old वाले litigation अभी totally stop हो जाएंगे, ऐसे नहीं है. That is what it says. So it says the rules, orders, bylaws, circulars, instruments, having the force of law and existing on the date of commencement of this amendment, that means 9th March 2019, which are applicable to the societies governed by this chapter on the date of such commencement shall until expressly repealed. तो जब तक रिपील क्लॉज नहीं है या कुछ रिपील नहीं किया जाता है या कैंसिल नहीं किया जाता है या मॉडिफाई या अमेंड किया नहीं जाता है, it will be applicable. Second part says every proceedings by or against the society and pending before can also be continued, right? So this is a saving clause. And then section 30, okay, amendment है, difficulty, power to remove, so ये अपना इसका इतना कुछ आता नहीं है. So it is 154B1 to 154B 31. So ये जो है ये आपका MCS amended act है जो as a practitioner, cooperative practitioner, cooperative litigation practitioner, as an auditor, as a consultant, ये हमको थोड़ा सा इसका मालूम होना जरूरी है. So जितना मुझे मालूम है, I tried to give it to you, and I hope there would be questions. I would love to handle the question and answers also. So with this, I will sign off for both the sessions. Yeah. So now we can move to the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Excellent presentation.
Yeah.
What is the authorized capital for cooperative?
Authorized capital, see, minimum each member has to give 10 shares of 50 rupees each. So 500 shares, 500 rupees to be contributed by each member. So authorized capital can be any amount which you need to discuss and get it approved in the first meeting where you are appointing the chief promoter. So it can be anything. And authorized capital is the maximum capital up to which, as everybody knows, we can go and issue the shares. But in case of housing society, kitna number of units hai, so it cannot exceed the paid up capital. So let's say 100 hai, so 100 into 500. So paid up would be that, but authorized can be 5 lakhs or 1 lakh or whatever. But जब हम लोग society form करते हैं, like we are also into formations, right? So at the time of formation itself, we put authorized capital to a little bit higher amount because this is the clause which you can amend. Capital clause can be amended, and suppose if you want to amend or subsequently, let's say, because पहले 5 shares लेने पड़ते थे, but 2013 के amendment के बाद, as per the model bylaws 2014, now the incoming members, they have to take 10 shares, right? So 10 shares ये double हुआ है. So subsequently, जैसे अभी मैंने बताया, this amendment has come. अभी लेटेस्ट अमेंडमेंट है हाउसिंग का जो हमने अभी देखा. अभी इसके रूल्स आएंगे. रूल्स आने के बाद में अगेन दिस बायलॉज विल बी रिवैम्प्ड, तो नए बायलॉ आएंगे. तो उसमें अगर डिपार्टमेंट को लगता है कि 10 के 20 करने हैं या 15 करने हैं, so your authorized capital should have sufficient to cover that additional. So that time you need to amend the authorized capital or that capital clause also. So that amendment is possible through the registrar, and you can have your capital whatever decided by the general body.
Okay. Any other question, members?
See, if it is a specific question related to your society, you can take my email ID, you can put it on WhatsApp, or you can email me. We can handle the other questions, maybe related to accounts, audit and society, but general questions we can handle. Otherwise, सबको वो chance नहीं मिलेगा question पूछने का. Yes, chat box में अगर कुछ आया है तो we can take the questions.
Can auditor be appointed in special general body meeting?
No, ideally, the statutory auditor has to be appointed in annual general meeting. But nevertheless, special general body meeting will be good if there are some certain reasons which were beyond control of the committee or the AGM में नहीं हुआ है because accounts से adopt नहीं हुए थे और वो agenda ही suppose लिया नहीं था committee ने. So in that case, at least general meeting. But as per the act, strictly it should be in the annual general meeting. It cannot be even SGM. जैसे अभी सपोज डेथ ऑफ दी डेथ होता है, जैसे आपने ऑडिटर अपॉइंट किया एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग में, सब्सिक्वेंटली वो ऑडिटर का डेथ होता है या उसको रिजाइन करना है, तो ये भी आप एजीएम में नहीं कर सकते हो. एक्चुअली देन द राइट गेट्स ट्रांसफर टू द रजिस्ट्रार. सो डिस्ट्रिक्ट डेप्यूटी रजिस्ट्रार विल अपॉइंट द ऑडिटर फॉर दैट सोसाइटी.
Thank you, madam. Now, can I request Secretary Jitendra Pulia to Jitendra bhai, you are there?
Sinking fund liable to GST. Sinking fund is very much liable to GST, but it would be under rupees 7,500 exemption notification. GST we won't be able to take up because Prajapati sir was very keen that GST should also be taken. But I'm sorry,
Yeah,
वो
it
5
is.
या 10 मिनट में लेने जैसा है नहीं. So
Then
you
we
can
will have a
plan.
separate session for
Yeah, you
taxation only.
separately आप जीएसटी और इनकम टैक्स के लिए
Income tax.
एक आप सेशन लगाओ. मे बी आपका जो
maybe
प्रोटोकॉल है वो
January.
हिसाब से. Yeah.
Maybe next financial year. Jitendra bhai? I think he's not there.
The only one point as far as GST is concerned,
हाँ.
जो मुझे रेगुलर क्वेरी आती है,
हाँ.
let's say your maintenance bill is below 7,500, which is a exemption notification 12/2017, right? Exemption notification 12/2017 में 7,500 का, तो 2018 में पहले 5,000 था, जो 2018 के नोटिफिकेशन में 7,500 किया है. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टेक्निकली और इन डिटेल, बट 7,500 के अंदर सारा आपका कंट्रीब्यूशन है, मेंबर्स आई मीन दैट मेंटेनेंस है, और भले ही आपका करोड़ का टर्नओवर हो, तो in that case society will not be should not be registered. Okay, that is what one point I would like to clarify, though I have different opinion on the specific items like parking and NOC. This is my personal view, that is how I give the GST opinion, but all other practitioners, they are taking it this way, that if it is less than 7,500 and even if you are crossing the threshold limit of 20 lakhs, there is no need, right? Because the entire turnover, aggregate turnover, or the entire turnover consists of the exempt supply, which is by virtue of section 22, then there won't be any need to go for the registration. And don't, whenever a housing society approaches you with a consultancy on the GST, don't give the consultancy over the telephone, because GST is society specific, right? So you need to see at least the audited financials of the previous year. You need to see the maintenance bills, wing wise maintenance bill, because दो 2 BHK 3 BHK है, स्टूडियो अपार्टमेंट है, तो सोसाइटी कैसे बिल्स रेज कर रही है, क्या आइटम्स आ रहे हैं बिल में. सो इट इज आइटम वाइज एप्लीकेबिलिटी है, आइटम वाइज सिग्निफिकेंस है. सो ये बेसिक थोड़ा देखो, सोसाइटी के क्या फ्यूचर में प्लान है, कुछ पेंटिंग का प्लान है या कुछ नया फंड क्रिएट करने वाली है सोसाइटी, तो ये सारे ये चीजें थोड़ी ध्यान में लेके उनको एक बार ऑफिस में बुला के, या ऑनलाइन भी अगर आपको मीटिंग करना है, तो take these basic documents in hand, and then only you give the GST opinion saying that whether they are registrable or not. Don't give it on the phone.
Madam, in one case,
Yeah.
out of 5 managing committee members, 4 have resigned.
Yeah.
One is there. What is the way out?
No, it is society has to, whenever there is a vacuum in the managing committee, the managing committee has to write a letter to the registrar giving him the picture, what is the scene in the housing society, and then based on this letter, the registrar, section 77A, that is section of appointing the auditor, administrator. So ये इन्वोक करेगा और 77A का ऑर्डर निकालेगा रजिस्ट्रार, और एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर अपॉइंट होगा, and the job of the administrator would be to conduct the fresh elections, और administrator maximum 6 months society में रह सकता है, subject to renewal by the deputy registrar, but 6 months is the maximum validity as per the act. So 6 महीने में उसका काम क्या है, सिर्फ रूटीन काम करना है उसको, वो मेजर डिसीजन नहीं लेगा, कन्वेंस रीडेवलपमेंट ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर नहीं कर सकेगा.
Only routine he can do. Any other question, members? Should we conclude? It's already 7:15. Okay. I, on behalf of Malad Chamber, because my whole committee members, because of internet problem, they are got disconnected. I, on behalf of excellent presentation, madam, we really enjoyed.
Sir.
Thank you. And in spite of your busy schedule, you have spared your valuable time and educated
It's our
us.
passion, as I said. Cooperative is my passion.
Yeah, on behalf of all the members and Malad Chamber, I propose a very well-deserved vote of thanks. Thank you very much, and we will call you again after few months for only taxation on societies.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. My
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.
I too enjoyed the session.
Yeah,
If
tomorrow,
anything, any queries, members can get back to me. Yeah, you
yeah,
can share
tomorrow,
the email ID.
yeah,
Yeah.
tomorrow, members, tomorrow again we have a 9th study circle on Vivad Se Vishwas, 11 to 1. Please attend it tomorrow. It is very
Yeah,
interesting.
thank you, Jay Shetji. Thanks for your compliment. Yeah, there are
Thank you,
regular
madam.
study group members also. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
Prajapati
you.
sir. Thanks, MCTC, for giving me
Thank
this
you.
opportunity to interact with the members and to present myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Yeah, thanks. Good night. Take
Good
care.
night.